to another episode of the BoomBastiCAST with your great hosts, Alexander Hawk and Mr. Matthew Fisher. And today is a great episode. We got Jeremy Roberts. If you watched any TV series like in the 90s era, you would have seen him and you would recognize him when you saw him. He was in Xena Warrior Princess. He was in The Pretender, X-Files. If you are a Star Trek fan, he was in Star Trek Undiscovered Country. He was one of the crewmen that worked with Commander Sulu. And also, if you're a big fan of the movie The Mask, he actually played the bouncer in that movie. And he's been in so many TV movies. He's worked with some of the great actors. He's worked with Ving Rhames. He's worked with John Ritter. This guy has done a lot.
Stuart Saves His Family, classic. I love that. That's one of my favorite SNL adapted films of all time. It's very like under the radar too. It's kind of like the Ladies Man movie, where the Ladies Man movie I think is long forgotten, but it's actually like a fun movie. Tim Meadows, what up? I know he listens to the show. Peace. And Al Franken.
Oh, of course.
Stuart Saves His Family. Stuart Smalley, one of the greatest. Now I'm going to give it back to the Huck Man.
Oh, thanks. But the thing about Jeremy Roberts for me is he was one of the first actors that I really noticed. You know, you'd be watching TV and you see an actor pop up in like guest spots and small roles all through TV and movies. And, you know, you'd be like, oh yeah, I remember the guy. Now, Jeremy Roberts was like the first one that really connect with me, where I'd be watching Hercules and be like, whoa, this is a great actor. This is a fun, cool role. And then all of a sudden, you see him in another role in Xena, another role in The Pretender, another role in another TV series. And the thing is, like I say, he's, as we've talked about before, we like talking to and bringing in actors that, you know, kind of been in everything and have worked with a lot of great people that you might not necessarily know who they are. And Jeremy Roberts, I think, is a perfect example of one of those great actors that I don't think gets enough praise or acknowledgement, honestly.
I haven't met the man personally yet on the Zoom console, but I feel like I'm gonna like this gentleman. I had a few back and forth with him. I know the Hawkman was talking to him more than myself. This is a Hawkman find. He casted out the super talent into the pool of super talent, reeled it in. Mr. Jeremy Roberts was chilling on the other end of that hook. Okay. And we're broadcasting live and direct from, is it Hurricane Henry or something like that? What's going on?
Yeah, Hurricane Henry is supposedly happening right now. Both Matt and I have cast the bones. We have prayed to other deities, and we are hoping that we will not have any issues during this broadcast as Hurricane Henry comes and hits our borders. So hopefully everything will just go through without a hitch. Without further ado, here is Jeremy Roberts.
God, I look terrible. I look like I just woke up. Oh, now I look better.
Hey, you look great to us. That's all that matters, right?
I can confirm the existence of him, but I can't. Yeah.
I like the faster Pussycat Kill poster.
Oh, yeah.
Repping the fam.
I have not. You're like the first people that actually know what that is. I brought it up because she's my mother-in-law, Haji. But everybody I've ever mentioned to, they're like, they don't really like, oh, I don't know. Isn't it on at colleges at midnight?
Well, it used to. I mean, that's where I first saw it. I mean, heck, I love that movie. I think it's one of the best midnight movies ever. I mean, how can you
blast.
Huge.
How can you not like that movie? It's I would say it probably is one of the earliest ones I would say really focus on like strong women characters, at least that I can think of.
For sure.
Yeah.
Women with automatic weapons in fast cars in the desert shooting men. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how can you not like that? Honestly, my question.
And then on top of that, I mean, I was growing up, and when I could finally go to a film such as that, I fell in love with Kit Natividad, who is a good friend of Haji's. Yeah. I ended up meeting my wife to be, and her mother was Haji, and I went, wow. And then next thing you know, she's dating my childhood idol, Frank Gorshin. He did the Riddler, and and he did a Star Trek and everything else. I love that man. And next thing you know, he's about to marry my mother-in-law. So I couldn't be any happier before he passed away, unfortunately. Yeah. He was a 5-pack a day,
Smoker, yeah.
He could take a cigarette down with one inhale. Adam West said that once.
Really? That's quite a couple. I like that. I appreciate that. That's power couple.
Oh, they're great. You're sitting in your just because it's so amazing to me. He was somebody I grew up with watching. I watched him doing his impressions on Johnny Carson. Yeah. And I just loved him. And here I am having a drink, bourbon on my back porch, and it's a name dropping thing, but he's on the phone talking to Tony Bennett, seeing if he could get him to sing at their wedding. And I'm like, here's the Riddler.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I couldn't believe it.
That show, that Batman show, huge and iconic forever. You know what I mean?
Then I'm lucky enough to got to have met Julie Newmar.
Yeah.
Batgirl, I got her back here. Yvonne Craig, and who else? Because they'd given Frank an award, and they all showed up. And I revert right back to 12 years old or whatever I was.
Yeah. I mean, it's always great when you get to meet people that you grow up, inspired by, or that you just love watching. We did an intro before you came on, and we were talking, and I have to admit, you are probably one of the first actors that I noticed, because when you're watching TV, you're watching movies, and there's always actors that pop up in supporting roles or as the bad guy, or guest stars and all that. And I remember watching like TV and be watching like Xena Warrior Princess and seeing you on that, and then watching Hercules and you were on that, and then The Pretender and so many other different shows. And you just always stood out to me, because no matter what different character you played, even if you were still playing a bad guy, you were always different. You were never the same bad guy, which I always appreciate, because you have, in my opinion, you have a lot of different character actors, where you have those that just have always play exactly the same type of guy, no matter what role they are. And then you have those who play maybe the same type of character, but they always play that character differently. And that's one of the things I always appreciate when I saw you.
Well, very kind. Thank you. I mean, it's odd because you're going between two things. One is I was lucky enough to get a role at all. And here you are, and you're going to have, and on top of that, it's not just with the star of the show, it's with some mega icon. I mean, I'm lucky. I was knocking wood, that I got to be in The Mask or The Sister Act or something. All these huge, small parts is fine. I have never had a problem with that. But you're sitting there thinking, how am I going to get up there to Dick Van Dyke? Am I going to look like a bad actor next to Angela Lansbury or et cetera? All these people I grew up with. And then on the other side, you're going, well, I want to be very different, but I don't want to be like I see a lot of bad guys that they do that same thing. It's all of a sudden, all right, what are you doing? They're all going to do this voice down here. And I'm going, it feels like you're not connected to the character, because you're just being a guy down here who speaks low.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to do this. And then on the other hand, you're trying to also just, the best actors are the ones who just put themselves. There's a lot of the best actors in the characters. Even De Niro's there, you know.
Yeah.
It's him, Kelsey Grammer. He's actually that's him. He's in that character. You can't be completely different without a little of yourself, because it doesn't come out of your mouth right.
Yeah.
Unless you're just genius, brilliant, which I wasn't.
Absolutely. You know, I think the influence that people pick up when they're younger is kind of what helped them perform, you know, perfect their kind of craft and their style and their way about doing it. You pluck from the influences a little bit, and all those little collaborative things, so to speak, come in and make that new, like the new presentation of that, you know what I mean, in a way. It was, yeah, you know what I mean? So I guess let's rock into it. You know what I mean?
Oh, we're not done?
Yeah. So we always like to start off with, where did you first get like the bug to get into acting? Was it something that came in really young? I know you said from that young age, you know, watching all the TV and stuff, but in your own words.
No, I was never interested in theater or anything. I watched a lot of TV. My mom would wake me up. They'd let me stay up and watch the Johnny Carsons to see Frank, because they knew I loved him, and but she would always wake me up, and we moved from Alabama when I was 2 to Hollywood, and she would wake me up at midnight, or to see the midnight movie or the Late Show. Time to sit back and watch the Late Show, and I, what 7-year-old is up at midnight, but I would see all these old films, and I guess I'm assuming because that time with my mom must have been what later on why I have such a huge love for the noir and the 40s, 50s. That's kind of movies. I just adore them. But still, no acting until I did a play. I did Our Town. I was in high school, and I misstepped on stage, and there was a grave we had made in the stage. I fell right in it, and that got laughs. But I was never going to do that again.
Yeah.
So I didn't act again. But I think the strange connection is that I didn't get connected to it till I was after Vietnam, and I came back and I didn't know what I was going to do. And my dad was a chef at this country club about 2 blocks from Warner Brothers, near the Smokehouse, a famous restaurant there, and the stars just hang out there. He got me a job as a lifeguard, and then also a 9th hole bartender. So you're on the 9th hole, and all these famous and the rich just come in, get a drink, and I get to push across a bourbon and branch water to John Wayne or Ward Bond, his friend, or Bing Crosby, Bob Hope. Wow. It was just huge. And I'm like, but it's still never, I just was a nerd, any famous person would come by, Rudy Valley or a 1920s star even. Yeah. I've got 1 degree of separation from everybody in Hollywood, it seems, but still didn't hit it. And I just loved the people. And I was a lifeguard. And the first time I met Tom Selleck, I tell this story only because he comes down the steps toward the pool on Easter, and it's just magnificent, tall guy, and the lights hit him back like Jesus, those pictures of Jesus. And I just said, that guy is going to be somebody. I don't know if he's even an actor. Found out his name's Tom Selleck, and he was this Marlboro Man or something. I went, hey, he's going places. He's gorgeous. I'm not gay or anything, but I can recognize it.
Yeah,
but it's okay. That's a Seinfeld line, but it's okay. Still, I didn't. And then I did a favor for a director friend of mine. She was doing a small little theater, and she said, oh, look, I need somebody to take over this part for a while. We're doing Laugh In, that TV series.
Yep. And
we need someone to play an Indian 7-Eleven, owner. Man, terrible. A white guy playing an Indian, Yeah. But I had the accent. I got it together, and I got up on stage and did my first line, and they roared, and I just said, this is it. It's like I accepted God into my life, like touched. I saw the white light, something like that. And I said, I better go to school, college. And then there's something, it's weird. I don't know. People call it a blessed life. I don't know if that's I'm not a big religious person, spiritual maybe, but the church doesn't, make me jump up and down because I had to go every Sunday.
Right.
My mom and dad every Sunday until I joined the Marine Corps to get out of it.
Yeah.
But I did that little play, fell in love, and the little things that just told you that you're going to be somebody or something that's going to work in this career. Is that I auditioned in LA for the American Conservatory Theater, the best school in the country at the time, and I did it on St. Patrick's Day. Coincidental? Was it lucky? Turned out that 2 weeks later, I get a letter on April Fool's Day saying you got in, but I didn't believe it. April Fool's Day, but I got in, and then once I got to the school and I got to the place I was going to live, and walked into the room I had rented with these other guys who were at ACT, also first year students. I remembered. I tell this story because I don't understand, and it's connected around, is there a God or not? I don't know. Something happened. I don't believe, I don't know. I had a dream in it, hundreds of dreams.
Yeah.
When I was young, teenage dream. I always had this dream, and it was this dream where I'm carrying suitcases up this flight of stairs in a Victorian home because it looks like Full House. Those tall 5-story. I walk up the stairs with the suitcases. Look down the hall. There's a man sitting in his room. He waves, and I look down the left, and the guy says, that's your room. I went in, set him down, and then looked up and went over this feeling of absolute joy. And then that was a dream. And I had it all the time when I was a kid. Yeah. Weirdest thing. I told my mom and dad, they said, it's just a dream. You're subconscious, who knows? And it was the exact dream of that room, that Victorian home in San Francisco. And it happened 20 years before the dream, or 15 years, or 10. There was no acting, but all of a sudden I'm in that room of that dream. Now, how is that possible? How could I know that I was going to go to that school before I even was going to be an actor? How?
Right. It's a destiny. It's already set out there type deal, But
if it's, like this is happening right now, if you had a dream last night, the exact same thing, wouldn't it kind of freak you out?
Oh yeah, well, like deja vu for sure. You know what I mean?
But with a video recording of it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Yeah, I don't really know where to place it too. To go to the church. The church thing's weird. I'm with you on that. Where it's like, when Jesus in the Bible, Jesus kind of walked around. He didn't really set up shop in one building and say, "Come to this building and pay me." You know what I mean? I think the church itself's a little maybe corrupted by man, but I feel like the overall spiritual element of a God is definitely present. You know what I mean? A positive energy type thing.
It's just which one is it?
Yeah.
Muslims think it's their God. Christians think it's theirs. The Buddhists think, I kind of want to believe that they're all right, but they're all thinking of different, but they're the same. It's somehow connected.
I think it's all the same energy with different names for different people. You know what I mean? There's too many people for it not to be,
Right. And you could all believe in a God, and you could all be spiritual and good and kind and
death, breaking up of families. I mean, like you see with politics now, families don't talk. It's real sad.
Oh, shoot your child if she doesn't, marry a Muslim, or what?
Yeah.
Or said, I'm not against any of them. It's just,
no, we're with you.
Want to all just get together.
We stand together. We want love and peace on earth. That's what we really want. If everybody was happy, why be sad?
Yeah, I mean, my belief when it comes to the idea of religion and all that, I believe it's always a good idea until it gets organized. I believe religion is a very specific to you. I mean, you can take aspects from all the different religions created all over the world and find either one that speaks to you, or take bits and pieces from different ones and then bring them in to, focus your life about. But in my opinion, when it comes to any kind of spiritual thing, it's very personal. I mean, when people try to make churches just synagogues, or try to make, like I said, make it organized, that's where I think the issues usually come from. And I always believe that when it comes to spiritual, whether however you look at it, wherever you take your inspiration from that, it's a personal thing. You don't need someone up there telling you, okay, this is how to believe, this is how you are to look at things.
Not another
I
man,
always
at
believe
least.
that it's an inward, aspect, inward belief of yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Same. I believe the same. And then, well, of course, Matthew here is right about everything because he's wearing correct hat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're stinking right now, though. I'm really unhappy. The game's on in there, and I'm not going to watch it. I'm saying Boston, they can't even beat Texas. Forget it.
They like to disappoint. They like to break hearts every now and then.
Yeah.
We're good at we create stars and then we can't afford them anymore. That's what we do.
We send them away.
Exactly.
LA. Which is okay. I'm like Boston. It's I had I think a T-shirt I wanted to have made. It was letters AT. It was any team but Yankees. Any team but the Yankees. Any team but the Yankees. I don't care if Boston's not going to make it. Then the Dodgers, because I live here or near LA. So
Darryl Strawberry, hell yeah.
Oh man.
Don't like Darryl?
Oh, no. I do completely.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I loved him.
I have his baseball cards, and I was talking about Bad Lieutenant earlier today, and I know he's a recurring theme throughout Bad Lieutenant. A classic though. So let's pop into the work. You want to pop into the work?
Oh sure. I didn't. Did I answer the question? That's something was going to happen here. If I just start going, I'll end up.
Oh, we love it. We go.
Yeah.
We take the journey. We could be circling back in the half hour. You never know.
Yeah, I mean the thing. Honestly, we like to. I mean, it's free reign. Whatever you want to talk about. I mean, of course, we want to hear about your experiences, of course, in the film industry and all that. But if there's something that you want to talk about that's an offshoot, we're more than game.
Well, recently, William Shatner and myself took a trip to Kabul, and now I wish I could say something like that. Oh yeah, not Leonard, but William and I, we're right in the middle of that whole Kabul thing. Yeah, we're just trying to help them get out. Yeah. We're using space. Yeah, Final frontier.
Beam them up. Shatner's trying to
send them there.
I get a quick question. Sure. You got to meet the legendary John Wayne?
Oh yeah.
What was John Wayne like as a person?
Well, you got to think of the little shack I'm in. It's no more than like 10 by 10. Yeah. And there's really only room for one or two. And I'm in the back behind these, you expect to be handing hot dogs, which you did also. Hot dogs, whatever drinks they wanted. And, usually it was liquor. And he was a bourbon and branch kind of guy. And I think I'm wondering if maybe that because I loved him, whatever his faults were, Republican or whatever.
Yeah.
Just kidding. He was a kid's idol. I mean, you want to grow up to be just like him. I mean, the shows I watched when I was young, it's weird. Rifleman, Andy Griffith, Father Knows Best,
yes.
Courts of Eddie's Father. I mean, these are the ones connected to Boy and his family, and they all ended up being without a mother, sort of, except Father Knows Best. It was always a son and a father. I never knew my father. My mother met my stepfather when I was 5, married him when I was 7. And I never met my real dad. There's a whole story behind that. That's wow. But so I think that was what was missing in my life, was that a dad, because he was always putting together restaurants. He was a chef. And so, he didn't, I don't think my stepdad had much of a father thing. I loved the guy. So he was always burnt. So I guess I looked at these shows and then when I was almost 12, Star Trek happened. I couldn't wait because I'm one of those sci-fi readers, Heinlein, Dick, name it. And I read it, Lord of the Rings. I was a huge fan of that. So, when Star Trek happened, I was right there, And then Frank was on the show of Ed Sullivan the night the Beatles were, which was fun to talk to him about. But no, you got to see, look, it's happening. You asked about John Wayne.
I love it. No, I love it.
But yeah, I mean, he's just the same guy in the movies. Again, that thing, he was just being him.
Yeah.
He wasn't anybody other than him. When he asked for the drink, he would come up and I would say, "Bourbon, that's it, son." And I found myself doing John Wayne.
Yeah.
Everybody that came in, when they left, I would be sitting in there trying to do him because Frank Gorshin, he was an impressionist.
Yeah, yeah.
He did all my favorite stars, Burt Lancaster, every one of them. And so when I would watch him, so I watched these stars, but never wanting to be one of them, just be able to sound like him. I was terrible. I didn't very good at it, but he was wonderful. And then his friend, Ward Bond, who we put in every movie, is one of the examples I use when people ask about acting. And I never wanted to be famous. It was actually, I didn't have any interest in, I want to be famous, because I think that's a big thing now. I think about 20 years ago, they did a survey with children in their teens, 10 to 18. And one of those things, what do you want to be when you grow up kind of questions. And the answer among all of them was rich and famous.
Yeah.
And that was kind of depressing that, the world now wants to be famous. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be, but I didn't want it. I was fine with being the character.
Yeah.
Barry Fitzgerald's, the Lon Chaney Jr.'s, playing with masks on, playing horror films.
Yeah.
All of them. I loved them. Of course, the star, Gary Cooper's and et cetera, James Stewart, John Wayne, Spencer Tracy. Like I said, I was a big 40s fan and 50s.
The kids of today, all want to be rich and famous. That's very dangerous. You have like the TikTok generation, like my niece who's like 12 years old is like, she wants to be a TikTok star. I think this is very not good for their mind. You know what I mean? I wonder where it'll all end up, because it's like, no, but not everybody can be famous. So very, very little percentage of these people are allowed to be famous. You know what I mean? It's like false expectations.
There's a fake famous going on now, I think. They even did a show I saw called Fake Famous and showed these people going through that they were going to try to make them famous fake for no reason. There's a lot of famous for no reason now. I mean, and the bar seems to be so low in every aspect, of life. Yeah. Music it's not like it was any other time, I don't think. But
it's like satanic now. Now, I want to comment. I can relate with you because I never knew my real father either. And my stepfather came into the picture when I was like 6. Now, do you think, that there's a more push that you have, I almost feel like, when you're attempting, you know what I mean? There's like an acceptance type thing. But I also wanted to relate it to the kids of today, because we're dealing in, the numbers of fatherless children are way beyond, now back when I was a kid, at least it was rare, you know what I mean? And now it's half the kids you go to school with they're missing one of the parents. Do you think that due to that is why we have such a rise and everybody wanting to be famous? It's like they want to prove themselves. They need acceptance type deal.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just shocked to see. I thought reality TV would go away too 20-something years ago. I was saying, this is who wants to see a show? But then those things happen too, maybe because that way those people became famous for just doing the job they did every day before.
Yeah.
And then every part of it is fake, because I know a lot of the producers and I know that they constantly just make, just do that again. Do that again. This time, give her a little more something, or they want to make drama, and it's fake. That's the fake famous. And I have a person I went to college with. He's the soup Nazi.
Oh, okay.
We're acquaintances now, but he's wanted to be famous for 40 years, and he got the soup Nazi, and it became what it did. Everybody just was nuts about it.
Yeah.
And then he didn't want to do. I told him at the time, you got to accept jobs, and he thought he was just so great that he should have his own series, and he wasn't going to take anything less under 5 lines or a co-star. And he didn't, and he didn't get any, and so he's decided to be famous by that.
Yeah.
And he's made a career out of selling things with soup Nazi on them, or ladles and cups,
going to conventions and stuff,
doing signings at these places for people, and it's a great entrepreneurial spirit. But it's just to be famous. He's desperate for fame.
Yeah.
To keep it.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know. It's something. Go ahead.
Oh, I think it's something within people. I think that even like when you peak. It's that whole thing with like you think you're gonna fulfill something or feel like a void almost. Not speaking for that dude personally, but you feel like you're gonna fill this void if you get the fame. And then I think a lot of people get the fame and they still have that emptiness and they're like, like I need more. And that's when they go into that whole like really need to be beloved type deal. You know what I mean? Like constantly almost.
And then we end up with a president too.
Yeah.
I don't want to get political. We just end up with somebody who's a reality star.
Yeah.
And that's why they think he'd be greater, because he had a business sense, which is ridiculous because he had none. He bankrupt 5 times, and I can't even go bankrupt once. But it didn't make me, but anybody could be president, though. It's like
true.
Anyone.
Well, if you got the money, you can become president or have friends with money.
Again, that's another thing, money.
Yeah,
the root of all evil. I mean, money is all what anybody thinks about. I mean, you need it. But man, don't be run by it. I'd love to be rich.
Of course.
Didn't happen.
You take the rich, but without the famous. It's one of those deals.
I actually got all that because when I would walk down the street when I was working, I haven't done anything in 10 years. So I retired. I'm coming back now, but then I came back right when they had the pandemic, so I couldn't come back.
Yeah.
So we went through that year. I got off the subject, but yeah. Walking down the street.
Yeah.
When I was working, it's never Jeremy Roberts. It was always either stopping me and, do I know you?
Yeah.
Did I go to school with you? If they were close to the age, and I would be able to say, well, I chopped a guy's head off on the practice last night. That's right. And it's wonderful. It was great, lovely, but it was always, I know him. And it's even nowadays, it's what's happening with doing a podcast is they'll find out you're doing it because you're on Star Trek, 1 or 2 of them, whatever, 3. But it's what ends up coming out is they end up going to IMDb and they go, like you said, hey, you're in everything that I grew up with. Maybe they didn't see you or remember you in, or maybe they did, but they bring up all these, whatever I've done. And it's heartwarming. It's like, well, actually you do remember if we point it out.
Yeah. I find that's better, when I see the people or hear about people that they want like that world where there's 50 paparazzi outside their house every day. There's people going through their trash. It's like, why would you want that? Like, you want like a mid-level where you're appreciated but not stalked, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a fair, even trade-off.
Clint Eastwood said that a friend of mine was in Pink Cadillac.
Yeah.
And he invited me to go to it, and I wanted to meet Clint and see if I could get into one of the shows. But I didn't get to meet him because it turned out he didn't go because he knew, and he had told everybody I can't go because they're having it at a bowling alley. And the minute any other time, he says, I just can't go to the cast parties because then it just swarm, and then there's no party. It's just Clint Eastwood. And I could understand it, but he says, I just can't do that to the party and everybody there. They deserve this. And so he couldn't go. Or maybe he just didn't want to have that. It's so tiring having everybody love you, I guess.
It's true. It's of course a beautiful thing because you're getting the adorance, but there's a lot to it. I think to go back to this whole that's why I think reality shows are so big is because they look at it and they can go, I can be a celebrity. You know what I mean? It's like, I could be this person. They don't understand how fabricated it is. I mean, we're in Boston. We had some of the reality. We had like Storage Wars came around here. And we had some people in the community be, you know, like background, pretend to be bidding on things, and like it's all fake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had a quick question. One of my favorite older actors of the day was Mr. George Burns. Did you ever get a chance to meet George Burns?
No, which is odd because Frank played him.
Yeah.
I've got a. No, there he is right there in that wall. Am I looking at it right? Well, you can't see it. There's another one over there.
Yeah.
This whole thing, I'm pointing to the left, but it's going over that way when on the screen. It's that's why I couldn't be a director. I just never understood where, you know, that they're doing a sex scene, so they got to have it shot with the guy over here. When they shoot the girl, they got to do it like this. I never got it. My brain just couldn't handle it. Why aren't they both laying on their left side? Anyway, off the subject. But no, I never got to, and I didn't get a chance to get to New York where he was doing it.
Yeah.
The Say Goodnight Gracie. That's too bad.
George is an interesting dude. He's got that cool look about him. He's a singer too. I got an album by him. It was like I Wish I Was 18 Again, and that whole album is incredibly awesome. You know what I mean? Like you'd think an actor wouldn't quite have great music, but the whole album is ridiculously good.
Huh.
But let's hop into some TV work, shall we? You got on your first TV gig, you got to work with the great Alexander Hawk. Holla, what's his name? Tell him. Speak it.
John Ritter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was one of my favorites. One of my favorite. I mean, even Three's Company. I mean,
oh, yeah.
Obviously because of her, but he was hilarious. And he was hilarious there. Although all these big guys, most of them, 99% of these huge stars are just guys, girls. I mean, yeah, it sounds so cliche, but I mean, I was excuse me, I was sweaty nervous, man. That was my first gig, and I wasn't sure because they told me all the facts. Well, 95% of the people that are trying to make it in Hollywood don't. Yeah. 5% will be waiters that'll keep trying, and they may get some success, but and then 5% are famous. And I ended up being in the 5%, but never got the fame, which was fine. You know, but it's amazing to me that there's so many millions trying all the time. The odds are just horrible. So I thought, well, I got the first job. I may never get another one. This is it. If it's done here, So I went down to Hollywood and I went into the famous Hollywood paraphernalia. What's the word I'm looking for? Things of.
Yeah, memorabilia.
Memorabilia.
Yeah.
It's another.
Paraphernalia you smoke weed out of.
That's another. Well, that's the store next door I went in. And I got a picture. I said, "Oh, I'm in there with him. Get a John Ritter photo." So I brought it on set, and because I'm going to have that one on my wall. I didn't ever work again, but I'd have John. Knock wood. Luckily, that was not the last. I have like 200 or 300 now. I just never stopped. I'm so happy. But yeah, he was a very nice person. He laughed at my line, and we had to shoot again. That's what made me. I'm doing it right, I guess. I had to laugh. I made the joke. He laughed. He didn't laugh in the actual shot, but he did. So I guess that gave me the drive to actually say those kind of things later, because I did end up having the gall occasionally to the line. How about if I say this? And I did that in A Marrying Man. I'm saying something to Armand Santi, it's Bugsy Siegel, and I change it about toothpaste. I don't know I can't remember now, but the director says, "Well, let me see." And what does "let me see" mean? So he gets on the phone, and in a bungalow nearby is Neil Simon. And he's talking on the phone to Neil Simon, and next thing you know, a few minutes later, he's coming over, and to hear you say it. God, I've rewritten Neil Simon. This is wrong. But I said it, and you go, that's better. Fine. And he just walked away, and the director says, "Hey, we just rewrote Neil Simon." that was just, I get a little chill. I still get chills on these little, they're tiny. They're like, it's like I'm a nerd from the beginning. It never changed, no matter from the first to the last.
Yeah.
I was still, and trying not to be gaga about it,
Hell yeah.
Not that I'm anywhere near their level, but not to snivel all over. Give me an autograph. I'm in the show with you. I can't do that, but I wanted to.
I mean, I know exactly what you mean, because I've done a few films with actors that I admire, and you're kind of like in you don't want to come off unprofessional, but you also want to, get that picture or get that moment with them, and you see them there, it's just eating lunch and all that, and you're kind of like, should I just just stay over here and not do it, or this might be my only chance to talk to him. And I totally understand that.
Sure. And I remember that sitting down next to was Dick Van Dyke in something, Diagnosis Murder, I think. It was another one of those I just, I have to do a scene with him and Piper Laurie, and you keep seeing her in The Hustler with Paul Newman and him in that he's falling over the thing, and Dick Van Dyke. I can't get over how great this is. He's having lunch just right there at a picnic tables, and it's like that old thing they tell you can ask the prom queen out. She doesn't get anyone to ask her. Go ahead. They want you to sit next to him, and you're like, no. He's gonna want to go run the minute I do. But I sat down and started like, sit down, son. How you doing? I went. I'm what am I, 60s now? And I still gaga about it. And I fumbled through that scene actually with them too a couple times till he had to just say the lines. It's okay. Yeah.
I dig it. You go back to John Ritter, man, quite possibly one of the most greatest physical comedians of all time. I don't think they give him enough credit for that. And he seems like one of the, it was great that what you said about him. I mean, he seems like one of the most genuine people of all time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely normal.
I was horrified when he passed. I think a lot of people were like, it was super sad and unexpected, just out of nowhere. Crazy.
Right. It seems like every day there's somebody, and we're already, because we're old, thinking, man, who's next?
I tell people it's like, forget it, when pop culture and TV and movies really blew up, it's like, it's the generational thing, you know what I mean? You're starting to see, unfortunately, people are starting to pass in a big way, which is terrible.
Or when you hear somebody in their 60s.
Yeah.
That's my age.
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
And he is a spiritual man, and he's still not ready yet. You can stay here for as long as you want. That's how we do it.
I think if there's a God, whichever, I'm sure he's got me here, because they take the good. They always kill the good. And so I'm here because I play bad guys, I guess.
You're that believable. You're that believable. You're that believable when God's looking down. He says, we're going to keep him here a little longer for him to straighten things out.
Or he hasn't got it yet. The reason we're here. I still don't know that.
Yeah, you were part of Doogie Howser, MD. Gigantic. That was a big show from back in my youth. Any good stories from working on Doogie Howser?
Not the actual show, but later, I lived with my girlfriend in it's in Hollywood on Melrose, and in one of these little bungalows where you walk down the center, and there's bungalows on each side as you walk in. And we lived at the back, and in the front was a guy named Neil Flynn. And, he hadn't done this yet. I didn't recognize him, and we didn't recognize each other for some reason in between there. And he was depressed one day, and he's just, I can't do it anymore. I'm giving up. He's packing his stuff. He's there for another week in this apartment. He's going back to, I think he lived in Chicago. Yeah. He's gonna go back. It's not happening in Hollywood for him, and sad. And next thing you know, he's got an audition for Scrubs. Next thing you know, Scrubs is happening, and then The Middle, and we didn't even ever recognize that we had done Doogie Howser together.
Yeah.
Unless I've mixed up the past somehow and we hadn't done it yet. What year was it? You remember?
That was in 1989 and 1990, 2 episode spot.
88, 9.
89. 19, that was in 90. You did an 80, the pilot was in 89, and then you did another spot in 90.
Trying to figure out then, because we never mentioned anything when we were talking to each other that we had ever done it yet. So maybe we hadn't done that yet.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and remember. It was a fantastically horrible relationship I was having. So, you know when they're a little and you can't, and it isn't her fault.
It was the best kind, yeah.
Yeah, well, I ended up having them all. Like my wife, I'm married to one now. She's magnificent.
Fantastic.
It's an Aries.
Very well. Aries is good.
They're a little
feisty,
fierce.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're magnificent. She's a sleepwalker cooker. She'll sleepwalk. Sleep cook.
Yeah, that sounds dangerous.
Scary at first. Scary.
Yeah.
But then when you taste the food and you go, wow, this is good. I'll wake you up in a minute, honey. Can you make me that Reuben?
You just put a stove in the corner of the bedroom. You're just going to roll over and make sure it ain't getting too crazy and everything's cool.
Just as long as she doesn't start walking outside and serving the neighbors.
That is problematic. The first feature film ever, I believe, was National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Right.
Now, that film I love it. It's a masterpiece. Within my family, it has been a staple to Christmas since it came out. But more recently, it's become like the second A Christmas Story. You know what I mean? It's like the second biggest Christmas film, bigger than Elf. It's number 2. And then Elf's number 3. How'd that come about? Getting a gig on that.
That was great. That was,
yeah.
It had, was it Herbert Marshall? Anyway, he was one of the fathers. God, it's terrible not remember these big star names.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not good with remembering anyway, this late. But all the people there, Doris Roberts, et cetera, Randy Quaid, and blah, blah, blah. It was just huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And I came in on the day the next day they were gonna shoot that because they somehow lost it. I didn't know the story behind it, lost the guy, and I had to rush in to whatever studio, do it right there and on the stage. He ran from where they were shooting something of it, ran over, and I gave the freeze line.
Yeah.
All that to say, what, you couldn't have just hired me? I mean, that was like what Shelley Winters said that when she had to audition after getting an Academy Award, she went in and put the Academy Award right down on the casting boy, desk. And say, there's my audition, something. Why do you need to read me? All I'm saying is freeze. I didn't have an Academy Award to put down, of course, but it was just, come on, it's just freeze. That's one thing I said about the union. I shouldn't say against the union. They're the one union in the world that can't get you a job. They're really basically useless for that. You need a job, we can't help you.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I got it. Boom. He said, he's good. He's in. He went off and finished shooting, and I left going, I'm in a Christmas movie. Go. I hope it just gets to last forever.
Yeah.
And it will.
Yeah, you're talking.
I'm telling my daughter, I said, look, these residuals, they're going to go on forever. I'll be gone, but you'll keep getting checks. Until you get that one check that says 00 on it. They actually give you a check with a penny or zeros. It's amazing.
It's better than nothing, though, I guess, right? At least
sure, because you can take that check and go into a residual bar. It's called Residuals in Studio City in LA, and they'll put that check up on the wall and give you a drink because you need it or something.
E.J. Marshall.
Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
E.J. Marshall. There you
That
go.
was his name.
Yeah,
Art. He played Art. I think that was Clark's father. Yeah.
And he was in The Defenders, one of the first.
Creep Show. He's also in Creep Show, the horror movie. Yeah.
But in Defenders, Frank did an episode of Defenders where he got to do his impressions in it. And he had people that were underrated was like, you mentioned that about, was it Ritter?
Yeah.
Zulu was another one, I thought. I saw him in a Twilight Zone, dramatic, where he kills himself at the end, jumps out of a window because he's a Japanese, and the guy in the room with him in that locked in is a veteran American from World War II, and he's, etc. He was great. I mean, man, he doesn't get a chance to act. He was really good. You completely went, that's not Sulu, that's good.
Yeah.
Anyway. But the Christmas Vacation, that was another instance where I felt, well, I'm a good enough writer to change my lines.
John Hughes.
I yelled, freeze. That was my line.
Yeah.
And everybody in the cast sits there, and Beverly Angelo has her hand frozen on his crotch. Everybody just, but I say, it might be funny if everybody crashing in. You see them coming down the stairs, running through the window, the SWAT team. If when I yell freeze, all of them in their running go, stop, since it's zany.
Yeah.
And they all freeze, and I go, not you, them, and director, Jeremiah Chechik was his name. He didn't think that was as funny as just freeze. But Chevy Chase had become friends of mine actually at the time. I don't know how, but we ended up playing the one of the first golf games on Xbox-ish or PlayStation. I don't have any of them because I'm horrible at it. And you think I could be good at it, but no. But we're playing, and I'm again shocked because I'm with Saturday Night Live. I'm with, this is just a dream for an actor.
Yeah.
And we're playing. We're not acting. He's right next to me, and we're playing a game. I know, and you're going, God, he's nuts. But I told him about that. I said, this line I have, and that's kind of, it's funny, but I thought and he laughed, and he goes, yeah, that's good. I didn't think anything of it. When we went back out and we were going to shoot this, when it came up, he goes, Jeremy had an idea. Jeremy has an idea. Great.
Yeah.
The guy with under 5 lines is going to tell me, this is not good. And he goes, do it. So I explained. He goes, well, no, I don't think that's funny. Sorry. And Chevy says, I think it's funny, and it's in. Oh, the set was quiet. There's not a word. And he looked at Chevy, and he's okay. And he gives me a look, and I went, oh, I will never work again. At least for him. I didn't, but I don't think he ever held it against me. But that look said, you're dead. And he put it in, and it's in the movie.
Chevy's
Once again, I had the gall to think I could rewrite. And who was it I rewrote? Was it Christopher Columbus?
John Hughes was the writer on that film. Right. Quite possibly the biggest writer of the 80s.
And I get that. I'm so lucky. I was so lucky that when I get something, it's not just a part. It's a part in, The Longest Running This. Oh, it's a part in a Disney Herbie Fully Loaded, who's been 12 episodes of that. It's gone on forever.
Yeah.
It's Christmas Vacation, name them. And it's every one of them is it's like you're not a big part and they're never going to remember you, but you're in it.
Yeah.
You're in that. The Mask.
For sure.
I don't want to read my resume, but it seemed like
we'll get there.
There's roles, and then there's roles in those films.
Yeah.
Like, man, you lucked out.
In the same way that people speculate that Steven Spielberg came in and directed Poltergeist instead of Tobey Maguire, people speculate that you actually wrote the script instead of John Hughes. For Christmas Vacation.
Well, I'm hoping that continues if I get to go back.
You want those royalty checks? I want some John Hughes royalty checks.
Damn, I remember the first one I got that was substantial. And I'm not bragging or anything. It was just the fact that it was so large. used to getting this. I got a residual check for The Mask. I was getting residuals for commercials that I'd done. And that's another thing. I've only done 4 commercials, but they're all like, I think big, huge, like Pac Bell, and they were nationals. And I played religious figures, which is really weird. I played bad guys all the time. But the 4 commercials, I was Toys R Us. I was one of the 3 wise men. In a Pac Bell commercial, I talked to God. I'm Noah. And it's just like every one of them, I'm playing religious for when it's a commercial. But if it's a TV show, I'm going to murder somebody. And I think it was because they saw my eyes once. A makeup person, when they were putting on, it was Deep Space Nine, looked at it and he says, God, you're just so, that face, they know that how they look, the Jem'Hadar. But when they focus on your eyes, you're sweet. You have this gentle eyes. Shut up. I'm mean. No, you're sweet. Shut up. Well, what was that about? I mean, you're talking about something. There he goes.
We also have another film called The People Under the Stairs, which we're a big horror fan over here. You know, how'd that come about? How'd you get linked?
Wes Craven.
Wes Craven?
Wes Craven. See, it wasn't just a horror film with the usual character just done, you know, anybody can do one.
Yeah.
It's Wes Craven. Damn. Yeah.
The king of psychological horror. Yes.
It was great. And then I got that because he did a lot of the writing for Freddy's Nightmares, that I did one where I cut a guy's tattoo off in that. That was fun. Good times. You know, you get to do a lot of stuff every day that normal people don't. You know, you get up today, what's your job? Well, I go to work 9 to 5, whatever it is great. But what are you doing? I'm robbing a bank, and then I shoot 2 people, go to lunch. Yeah. I get to eat anything I want. They put it out.
Yeah.
And then I go back, I kill another person. It prevented my daughter, who's in her 20s now, but it prevented her from ever doing anything, coming on the set a lot, because she would, I think Herbie was the first one, because she would ask before and say, can I miss school today? And because I'd like to take her. I would take her when I could. And most of the time I would have to think about what I'm doing. Like I said, I'm practice. I'm cutting a guy's head off. Not today.
Yeah.
I'll bring you when I'm just beating somebody up. So she couldn't go. But then she did get to go on Herbie Fully Loaded, because it was the first time I got to play a fun guy, or happy.
Yeah.
Crazy Dave in that. And she shut the production down one night. She said, bring your daughter. She skateboards. I do too. Da, da, da. So I brought her the next day, and boom. Again, a director and everybody looking over at me like, oh, you brought your daughter to play? This is a $50 million film, and you got it all. I'm like, she did it. Lindsay is the one who said, oh, bring her on. I'm just sitting here listening and watching. So for 15 minutes, she skateboarded with my daughter. It was great.
That's cool.
That was great. When she was normal.
Yeah, yep. She had a little fall from grace, but I'm glad to hear she was cool. I mean, that's very cool. You know what I mean? The producer.
And that she didn't care either. She didn't. He was like, oh, I don't care. I'm skateboarding. Oh, yeah. Well, there's $10,000 lost. Crew members are all like
horrified. Yeah, that's why they gave her trouble. They gave her troublesome. Before we move on from The People Under the Stairs, do you have any cool insight to Craven on set as a director, or just any cool stories from working with Wes Craven? Rest in peace. You know, he passed away a couple years back.
No, it was just a job then. If you came in,
is he more interactive?
Nice.
I know sometimes more directors are more interactive with the actors than others, and some kind of will stay behind the monitor and have the AD talk to the actors sometimes, you know what I mean?
If I didn't get to talk to a director most of the time, it would be because I assume if they don't talk to me, then I'm doing it right. There's nothing he needs to say quicker, faster, funnier, or whatever he wants to say.
Yeah. They
would usually get up, walk over, and talk to you a little bit, or say, give you some insight or something you're not doing or whatever. But he never, if they say, cut, is that good for you? And oh yeah, move on. And I learned that in TV too, that you get it done quick and they love you, bring you back, as long as you don't stink.
Yeah.
But I thought I stunk all the time. That's why I never really watched anything. I couldn't watch it, which is a drag. I'm getting better now. I can look back now and look at stuff and go, oh, well, he didn't stink. You know, maybe. I realized it was not going to be helpful to me if I'm going to think badly, because maybe I'm not objective enough, because next week I get another job. Week after that, I get another job. So either they're just bad judgment of talent, and I don't care if you're going to hire me, or I actually might be doing it right.
Yeah.
So it's best not to look. A lot of actors, they love to go back behind that monitor with the director and look at themselves, and I just can't do it. And maybe it would have been good, because they say you can get better by seeing yourself, but I couldn't even do that when Dallas Cowboys, when they became an expansion team and they were losing. It was because I was watching the game. I had to go into another room and oh my God, they fumbled, and I looked and they fumbled. I knew it.
Yeah.
So same thing happened when you're an actor. But now I look back at these things and I see some of these pictures, like I saw the Star Trek one, and I went, man, I'm pretty. I should have been huge. But you gotta remember, if you put it in here, it's gonna come out of there and it's gonna become truth. Yeah. I believed in creative visualization when I was younger. I read a book, and he said, I'll give that a shot. First year back in Hollywood, I put up a big board, and on it you're supposed to write this year and all of the accomplishments, not like you're going to, but like you did it. It's already happened. It's in your mind. You believe that you're going to get 5 guest stars, or save whatever money or whatever trips, and you put it on that board, and you make it like you cut out little letters from a magazine and make it look like a ransom note. So it has more power when you read it every day and you imagine yourself in these things. And literally everything that I said on every year that I put that board up, it happened, if not a little more. And then when I got lazy and stopped doing it, the jobs slowly whittled down, and I had to start back. I hadn't done it in the last 10, 15 years because I'm not acting, but it worked. So it made me believe that there's a power of your mind.
Oh, for sure.
Produce. So
we talk about that a lot, actually, kind of behind the scenes with our group, because we do films and stuff as well as the podcasting, and the power of speech it's prayer. It's literally prayer at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's just speaking positivity over what you want to happen,
Exactly.
Alex, how do you feel about watching your performances after the fact? Do you watch them, or you stay away from them?
Well, I mean, for me, I always watch them for the simple fact that for 2 reasons, honestly. One is the basic one of I want to look at how I did roll, because one of the things, I mean, as I mentioned before, you played a bunch of different bad guys, but you played your bad guys differently. I try to do the same thing, where I play sometimes I play serial killer types, and other times I play the comical chubby best friend. But I don't want each role to end up blurring into the next. So I want to watch and try to say, okay, I did this one like this. So when I'm doing this character, which are pretty much the same type, I want to change. I want to, modify. Because like I said, I mean, if I don't watch it, I feel like I get complacent and like, well, I did this in the last one. I'll just do this in the other one. And then, I want to try to, show that I can do different things with the same character. And the other way is also just to see how the director films me, so I have an idea. So subconsciously, when I come in, that if I stand a certain way and I look, not that good that way, try to, position my body in a way to make it easier to get the best possible, I would say, look on screen. So I mean, that's why I always watch my stuff.
I wish I'd have been able to.
Yeah, always trying to, improve.
I just wish I'd have been able to do that, to have that ability to look, because you didn't look and go, oh, you didn't look and see, man, that performance. How am I ever hired?
Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of times where I look at what I've done, especially since a lot of stuff I've done is like what you said, where they give you a line and then you either say, well, can I modify it this way? Can I, try something different? And I do that. And of course, every time at that moment, it feels like the best possible way to go. And then you watch it later and you're like, yeah, but if I did it like this instead of like that, it would have been better. And there's a lot of times where, as an actor, you make a decision and you go in a certain direction, and the director either likes it or just some directors I've had, I think, were just apathetic, who just, said, do whatever you wanted to do. But, after rewatching, I know I did this one really bad horror independent film where I tried to do a Southern accent, and I'm not good with accents, but the director didn't seem to have an issue, and I thought, it was coming across well. It didn't. It was really bad. I see that now. And that's why you don't try to do Southern accents. But yeah, I mean, it's a learning. I mean, a lot of times, I definitely, if I look at my earlier stuff, there's a lot of times I look at it and I cringe. But as I always say, that's just a learning experience. You just look at it and you just try to take, okay, that didn't work. How can I improve upon that? And that's how I look at it.
I look at things, I see things now, and I'm watching a person, like I'll say, oh, you see that? The camera loves them. It doesn't matter if they're this way or they're this side. It loves them. And I never thought the camera loved me. I thought my face kind of just didn't photograph well. I had that in my mind. That was another reason I didn't really want to look at it. I wish I had that ability to look then. Maybe now I can. Now I can. But then, now when I'm watching stuff, I like the Star Trek just off the top.
Yeah.
I go, well, okay, I kind of believe what he's saying. All right. But boy, is he a bad actor when he walks across the set. I'm even bad acting walking. I can't. I must. That's what are you doing? What are you doing to yourself? I'm complaining about the way I walked.
Yeah.
I must have done it normally. So it's best not to look.
Well, I mean, just as an outside observer, like I said before, you were definitely one of the earliest actors I can think of that, I always appreciated for the fact that you always try to do something a little different with your characters, and it always drew me in. So, just from someone outside, the camera loved you, in my opinion.
No.
Camera loved you, man.
Man. Oh, and then I remember thinking about that, doing something different. I did Malcolm in the Middle with I think Jason Alexander was in this. I played a guy he owed money to. And we had the scene, and during it, again, it was just thinking, if he'd mind, because they're playing chess, if when I come up with, would you mind if I just put this pawn up your nose? Just, yeah, do it. And we did it, and they kept it in. So I was like, something, and it's just, you're better than you think. Your ideas, they get in, so don't be afraid to be different. I don't know.
I agree.
I read for Quentin Tarantino for Reservoir Dogs, and Michael Madsen's part, was he Mr. Pink, White?
Blonde.
He did this.
Blonde, Mr.
Yeah.
Stuck in the middle with you,
Yeah.
and that was the scene. And I had to cut this guy's ear off. I read 4 times with it, and the last time we read it was just Michael and I. I ended up getting to know his sister, Virginia, and I had such a crush on her. I really wanted to date her because I knew her best friend, and she was trying to push us that way. Anyway, that's another after, but he ended up becoming famous, huge.
Yeah.
From there, he just continued. I was thinking, God, it was just that close. If they'd have given me that, but he ended up picking Michael. But and this is, I won't say a thing. There was this. He's a great guy, and actually, he has a tendency to do this. And I said, no, I wouldn't have done that. But he's great and everything anyway. But I mean, he's just, I think you're that close a lot of the time, and you missed fame. But I'm not having a problem with it. I was okay. I didn't want it to begin with, but I do want to get the role. I mean, I had a good track record of getting the job. You know,
I say holy shnikes, man. Just auditioning for Reservoir Dogs is fucking iconic in itself.
Or the 2 or 3 prior ones. I'm thinking, God, I'm in. I don't usually, I'm lucky enough to go right to the producers. Anything that had to do with my resume that when I first started, it had a American Conservatory Theater on there. It's like going into a doctor's interview and you have Harvard Harvard Medical. It's huge. They look at it, oh, well, we'll have to read him because you wouldn't have gotten into the school unless you could act. That didn't change anything when I looked at myself on the TV, though. You don't sit there and go, okay, I went to the good school. I went to the good school. I made it through all those. Okay, I have to be okay. Nah. But it's just you get to keep going back. You know you're going to get it. And then you don't. But then that was one of the first, you start to realize that, so my wife has said, she'll always ask her what used to. How'd it go? Nah, it's over. And then I moved on. I don't want to think about it because I know other actors that just sit by the phone. It just drives them mad.
Yeah.
And then they want to know why they didn't get it. But because of that first everybody after that would just send me right to the producers. So I missed one step that everybody else had to go through. I had a great agent. They were like the guest star agent of Hollywood for TV. If you were a show that wanted to have somebody good, go to Gage. They'll have them. So I went, well, that was another lucky that I got right in. And
that agent's huge. Getting the agent's huge. Did you find it difficult in the beginning to getting the agent, or just kind of everything fell in place kind of fate-wise?
That was it. I hate to say that because people hate my guts when I say that stuff.
Yeah.
Because of what usually you have to do. I mean, okay, with the 2,000 or 3,000 people that auditioned all over the country for ACT, just like I said, on St. Patrick's Day, the coincidence that 2 weeks later on April Fool's, that I was the last one auditioning at the Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood, and the guy who was a third-year student was signing everybody in, and he signed me, and he goes, well, they're going to remember you. And I go, why? Well, you're last. Chills again, thinking, oh, I'm doomed. I'll never get this job. He just killed it by telling me that.
Yeah.
But I got it. And then from there, what were we talking about? It was relating to what?
Oh, we were talking about agent. Difficulty of getting an agent.
Right. Okay. So I did Shakespeare all over the country, et cetera. And when I went to these places, I luckily get the ingenue male part in them, the one everybody wanted. I was getting them, and I was going, this is just going to end. This kind of luck can't be. I can't. Time to go to Hollywood. I said, let's just give it a shot. And they told me, this is how you do it. You got to send out pictures to everyone. Agent, you got to send them out hundreds of these, blah, blah, blah. The way it's done then, I have no idea how it's done now. Even auditions are done like I'd be having one now using my smartphone, it seems.
Yeah.
But I said, no. I mean, so I did a showcase. He said, you can do it this way. And they come and they look at you, the agents, etc. So I did a showcase, and I did a Shakespeare piece and then a contemporary. Martin Gage, he came backstage. He says, come in, let's talk. And I did the scene for the rest of the agents the next day. And they said, you're in, let's go. And within a week, I think I got Hooperman. It just ended up being very lucky. It does not happen that way. And I thank whoever did it. You can't just get your first date and then that agent be your agent for 20 years. I never wanted, why I didn't go on to get a manager that would turn me into a star. And I was too busy doing the job I just got. And I didn't to think about complaining about what I'm not doing because I was getting work.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get upset.
Exhausting.
They didn't.
Exhausting. Yeah.
I read for one series regular in one in 20 years. That's sad because I should have kept reading because I might have got in one. I went to Network. I read, the two of us were reading for this part. It was a radio show DJ. Right. And the other guy was, can't remember his name, but he's Goldberg's father, the Goldbergs.
Yeah, he was on Curb Your Enthusiasm as well.
Exactly, his friend. He was the other one the reading opposite. And at the end, they didn't give it to me. They gave it to him, and it didn't go anywhere. But he was one of the writers, and even the other writers said to him, "We were going to give it to him to begin with, but we weren't going to go to Network, but you were so good." I was like, "Well, thank you." That he almost lost the job that he wrote. This thing together, which it was probably bullshit, but that was the only time I ever read for a series. I did get one small one, Western, which was a blast. And again, it was a Western called Lone Justice. I played a mentally challenged guy in a Western. And the writer was Bill Whitliff. And he wrote Black Stallion, and he wrote Lonesome Dove, the TV adaptation. I went, I can't believe this. I'm getting to do a Western, which I've always wanted because of John Wayne. We were in Willieville shooting this in the town of Willieville. Willie Nelson has a home attached to it in there. And I got to meet Willie Nelson and Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, the Highwaymen. I got to meet them at his house. The star of the show said, "You want to go meet Willie?" I went, "Ooh."
Yeah.
So I go there and I'm sitting down at a table with Willie Nelson. I hear it's a band going on back. I hear the sound and you can kind of see figures. And oh my God, did I see Johnny Cash? And they're playing back there. And he's sitting at a table, they're talking, and he's got this pile of, I don't know what it is, a newspaper over a lump. And there's a chessboard. And he goes, "You play chess, son?" And even if I had, I was in chess club. So I played chess. He says, "Hesitate to ask you this." And he lifts the newspaper over and there's a pile of weed. And he says, "Is this something that'll offend you?" And no. So he starts, "Let's play." And he's rolling I got Willie Nelson rolling the joint, playing chess, and I'm hearing Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings singing. This is chilling. This is surreal. And as soon as he passed it, even if I had never smoked in my life, I was going to do it then.
Yeah.
But now that it's legal, it's kind of like going to Ralph's. But
pretty much, yeah.
That was phenomenal. And he actually also taught me the first song I learned on the guitar. First song I ever learned, Willie Nelson taught me. And funny thing is, years later, I did was it Hercules I was doing at the time? I was in Auckland, and they were playing and staying at the same hotel. And I had my guitar with me, and I was sitting in the front lobby. I was just waiting. I'm going to get these guys to sign it because I already had Eric Burton, Eric Clapton. I had Herbie Hancock. My guitar was being filled with. I was starting to not be able to use it because I didn't want it to wipe off.
Right.
But I had it in that lobby. I wanted to catch them before they left. And this guy comes in, and he sees me like this anxious person. Like, "Are you waiting for the Highwaymen?" "Yeah." "They're going to be leaving out the back if you want up." So I race back there, and I'm standing at the door with this guitar. And they come through, and Willie's the first one, and he stops. And I said, "Mr. Nelson," and he goes, "We play chess, huh? How you doing?" And they're all walking through, and he signs it. Johnny Cash and Waylon and who's the fourth? He's an actor. It'll come.
Christopherson.
That's right. So they're all signed it. So the next thing you know, I've got to have that guitar put on a wall and never touched again. But I continue to try to get famous rock stars to sign my guitar.
If that guitar ever needs a home, if that guitar ever needs a home, I'll take it off.
Oh, it needs I thought if it ever leaves the home, never.
Never. That is history.
No.
That is literally history.
Oh, yeah. And that had something to do with something, but I think I went off the subject.
It started with Clint Eastwood for his first movie, I believe.
Joe?
Oh, Joey Wales? Outlaw Joey Wales? Joe
Outlaw
Wales?
Josie Wales.
Josie Wales, yeah. Classic.
And in it, there was a bad guy with a bunch of men chasing him, and one of the bad guys was Redlegs, and he's been in so many films. Oh, classic. It's bugging me that I can't remember his name.
Those Western actors always had the best faces of all time.
Oh, yeah.
You a Western fan?
Big time.
I could see you in a Sergio Leone movie.
Oh, I wanted to. I had two things I couldn't get in. I was a Vietnam veteran, but I couldn't get in China Beach or any war film. That was just the weirdest. I would never get it. And I'm saying, I was in a war. I was a sergeant twice. Something, you got to get me a Western. And I only got that one tiny series in Austin, Texas with the Willie Nelson. And that one was, it was between us and Martha Quinn Medicine Woman. And CBS went with the nice, sweet show instead of the dark, black, angry Western.
Yeah. They tend to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You were part of the two, I always say this right, the two darkest, greatest TV shows of the 90s is Millennium and The X-Files. Speaking of dark television shows, on the peak, the peak of those shows, what was that like?
X-Files.
Yeah.
That one doesn't seem to have anything that I have connected to it. I mean, they're not lovely people.
Yeah.
No, that was just, I mean, Millennium, I got a story, but X-Files, they didn't really, sometimes you just don't connect with anybody.
Right.
And, a lot of people told me, and that's probably my own fault, because when I was young, like back now, you would never say I was shy. But when I was young, I could not walk into a room. If there were a girl in it, forget it. I'm shaking and I'll leave. But that went away when I started getting on stage and realizing that I could be other people and they love me and I can talk. But, and this had to do with what again?
X-Files. The X-Files and Millennium.
Yeah, well, the people had told me, I don't know which show it was, but I said, God, nobody's talking to me. And they go, well, you're sitting there and you're just so quiet. And you're just like, you think you're getting into your part, so we don't want to bother you. And I'm sitting there just saying, no, I'm begging people to talk to me. When then finally you make friends, because you're only on a show 8 days, and that's a movie. So for 8 days, you're this bad person no one talks to till a couple of days before, and then he's a great guy, he's fun, and then you leave. Yeah. But then the nice thing about that is you're on the next show, and it starts all over again. That's not the nice thing, but the nice thing is that sooner or later, you start knowing crew. Oh, we did this, we did. A friend of mine, Richard Reilly, also has that same feeling, but he's prolific. Richard Reilly, look him up, 300 and something roles. We did that Western together.
We know Richard. He was in Office Space.
Yes.
Yes. He's a good dude.
You end up having friends that I didn't even know. Kurtwood Smith, who I did a Billy Budd play in during the Shakespeare days, played Claggart, and I was a good lieutenant before they hung Billy Budd. Yeah. And he was in Star Trek VI. He's the guy with the white hair and the Fu Manchu. He's president of something. Mm-hmm. And Leon Russum, I did a show with him. He's also one of the very first people that stand at the podium. He's the president of something. And it's like, I know everybody in the show. And I didn't meet any of them in the show. We didn't see anybody in the show but Sulu and Grace Whitney and who were in our scenes. Yeah. But, and that, again, had to do with the what? You got Alexander and a grin here.
X-Files. You said you had a Millennium story.
Oh, yeah, well. Millennium. I was living in Studio City at the time in a place on Farmdale is the name of the street, and it was a lady's house. She had a front house, and then she had a tiny little bungalow, a beautiful little tiny bungalow in the back. near by the wash. The river went by, and then there was just all this foliage in it. It was a beautiful place, and I was living there, and I got this Millennium job. Now I get to go to Canada. So before I go, I tell the landlady, her name's Winnie, and I say, "Hey, Winnie, I'm going to go up to do this Millennium, and a guy named Lance Hendrickson's in it." I didn't think she'd know him. She goes, "Lance, he lived in your apartment you're in 10, 15 years ago when he first started. He was Lance Hendrickson. Tell him when he says hi." I go, "All right, sure." So I go up there, and they take me for one of the PAs, take me to the crew, the cast. They're all shooting somewhere, and he's going to introduce us to the director and Lance. I don't know what made me think it. Maybe that's what I do. My mind starts going. I go, how can I become friends with everybody right away? Or what can I do let's eliminate this 8 days?
Yeah.
So I come up to him, and he says, "This is Jeremy Roberts, Lance Hendrickson." He's very friendly. He puts his hand out, and I shake it, and I pull it to me, and I start, Winnie, Farmdale, Bungalow, Studio City, Winnie Carp. And he like, "How do you know that? Why are you saying that?" I said, "I got to tell you, I have a bit of I guess you call it psychic. I don't know. And when I touch somebody or hang their hand or I put their hand on them, I get visions." And I said, "That's what I got. I got something. I don't know. Does that mean anything to you?" He said, "That's where I used to live." And I went, "Really?" He said, "Winnie Carp was my landlady." And he like turns around to the crew. "Hey, we got a psychic that's playing a serial killer." And that didn't go too well at first. I thought, maybe everybody's going, "Don't touch me." I don't want him to bring up stuff that I got hidden.
Yeah.
Well, he became really good friends. And then he says, "Here, do it." And I forget the director's name, but wanted me to shake his hand. And I shook it. And I see a new series. It's a shoot off of Millennium starring me. That can't be. Anyway, what? All right. I can't let this go any further. And I had to explain, I live in the same place you did, and the place just broke down, and I had a friend forever. Yeah.
Yeah, we've met Lance. He's a good dude.
Very good sense of humor, all of them.
Yeah.
Because that could have gone bad, I guess.
Did you have any meet Chris Carter, the writer? The writer creator of both X-Files and Millennium.
Yes, that's how I think I got
the connection. Yeah.
Got one of them, one or the other, because of having done.
Yeah, he was a big deal in the 90s too, because both of those shows, he was kind of like John Hughes was in the 80s with movies a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Alex, you had a question and I cut you off. Sorry.
Bro. Yeah. Well,
you're frozen. There you go.
There he
is. Since we were talking about, Westerns and all of that, I wanted to kind of sideline to Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Oh.
Where you got to work with Mr. Bruce Campbell. And so how was the experience, working with like Bruce Campbell and that entire creative team?
That was fabulous. They were. I guess I have 25 years of. There was never any ugly or anything weird or odd or every show. Yeah. Once, maybe something odd. You just thought, wow, this person's a star. They shouldn't act this way. But anyway, other than that, every show. And Briscoe, because it was a Western too. And you got to be dirty in Western times. And who's another one of the Swill brothers? They were the Swink brothers in the script, but that got changed to Swill. Mm. Oh, and my mom, the woman, that actress, she was incredible. I mean, I knew their faces when they're that age. Yeah. I watched the film she was in, and it was like, she's going to play my mom. Yeah. And there was a little Weasley guy. He was in City Slickers. I think he was the cook.
Yeah.
He was the other brother. And then Bruce, we became good friends because of he did a lot of Hercules and Zenith. Yeah. And I got to see him there when we were there. And we saw him when he bought I was shooting in Oregon something. I did a rafting murder movie. I forget what it was. But I got to see him there. He has a place up there. I kept thinking, oh man, I'm going to get into what are the other few things he did after that spy thing.
He did Burn Notice.
Burn Notice.
And he directed a few things. Yeah.
We did a movie called Running Time.
Yes.
It was a movie where the camera goes on in the beginning and doesn't turn off until the end. It's one take for an hour. Running Time. It was amazing. Him and I and another good lady. Forgot her name. Forget everybody's name.
It happens.
We did notice something which is odd, and I don't know if this is true, but it seems as though that everybody I ever worked with becomes famous.
Not a bad deal.
I think if they touch me, or I'm in an acting scene with them, they're going to make it. Everyone. I mean, look, Neil Flynn, boom, everybody. Everybody I've ever worked with except me. But that's okay.
You're on the show.
Hey, Matt, I think we have to take a road trip to his house now. We got to take
Let me touch you.
Just to shake your hand.
I always like to ask people if they work on Hercules or Zine, or if they had any stories about working with Sam Raimi or even Ted Raimi. I love Sam Raimi. He was the executive producer, I think. Yeah.
He didn't come into it.
Yeah.
I saw his name a lot, and I kept looking at it in other films he's done, and you could tell me the ones he did. But
oh yeah, Evil Dead, Spider-Man movies, later. Yeah. Iconic.
Evil Dead. I know people from that. My wife also, she's like friends with all famous people. I keep telling her she should write a book because she's got stories from when she was 5. With your mother's Haji, she dated every famous person, Johnny Carson, etc. So I keep trying to tell her, write these stories, man. There's a memoir about Hollywood.
Come on the BoomBastiCAST. Just as good as writing a book. Yeah.
You got Freddie back there. Yeah.
Believe it. I'm a big horror fan.
I played his actual pinball machine in his house. We did a movie called Windfall. That's how I got to know him more than, Freddie's Nightmares. And he invited us to his house, and his wife was magnificent because we all got along in Romania where we shot it. He brought us down there, and he showed us his memorabilia room. He's got a pinball machine that they made for him. It was just classic. And he's got the, their little glove sitting in a case.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here having lunch with Freddie.
Robert, we met Robert. He's a good dude. He's
good.
Really good at Windfall too. That's such a fun movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, and attached to that, I mean, more than I remember anything in the movie because I was just bad guy father.
Yeah.
Who gets killed in the end? I always get killed. My mother always wondered about that. Why are you always killed? But what was I going to say about that?
With Robert,
forgot. See, went right out.
Robert's story, I think, how colorful he was.
It was in Romania.
Yes.
Transylvania. Vlad the Impaler, his castle, the town. I got a look. This is the town. I had an artist there when I was there paint this. Cool. Nice. It's like in the little town how it was way back when Vlad. And you go to the castle, the cast, they set up a chance for us to go and see the castle. And there's this one place where we're getting up the stairs, and I'm kind of falling behind a little bit by everybody. And we go into this one room, and I haven't quite come into it. And as I come into the room, they're all standing looking at this huge, looks like a 10, 15-foot painting of somebody. And it's like an uncle or of Vlad, a relative. And they're all just transfixed. And then they all like turn around and give me this look. And like, do you see it? And he could have been my brother. And they just thought, are you sure you don't have a little something? Oh, I looked at it, I could not believe, I wish I had the picture out. It's me, dark beard and everything. Maybe I have some Vlad in me.
I'd say, I want my castle back. Damn.
It's mine. I'll put all your heads on posts.
Exactly. Keep it friendly. Keep it friendly for everybody involved. You did a two episode stint on one of my favorite episodes, Roseanne. I remember this episode. I believe this is the episode where Jackie's boyfriend Fisher gets rough with her, and Dan beats him up. Dan beats him up and has to go to jail for a little bit. You know what I mean?
And I have to take him. Yeah.
You got to take him.
And then dance and sing in the jail. I think that was.
He's getting ready for the Blues Brothers 2000. I think he wanted to get prepped. Any cool story from that one?
Well,
not so much.
Very good one. That was one of the people that didn't
live up to it. Yeah,
live up to her fame and her. You think that they would be kind and generous and giving and sweet and not full of themselves. So, but yeah, we had the cast reading around the table. We're all sitting there, and I'm a couple from her. And as soon as I think she kind of looks and like gives this, "Who's that?" And the director, he's playing the policeman. Oh, she kind of looks her down, and then they go on, and I'm like, "Why did you do that?
Right?
Who are you? Like I'm gonna do something vile? Why am I sitting here? Because I'm in the what is it? I'm in the script.
Yeah.
She was not very sweet, but that was just, it was small. It ended, and I really didn't have anything to do with her after that. But
I think the issue with Roseanne was she let too much of her personal life into the show. I know that like her husband started to be producers and such, which is never, and they're not really film people or TV people. They're just their husband. So like, I think that created a lot of weird, whether you know what I mean, to keep everybody. That's one of those shows. I equate that to almost, it's like you have like the Cosby Show. I know nowadays Cosby is known for not being Heathcliff Huxtable, but that show when it was on was like such a positive show, and like it was, to go back to to like a fatherless thing. I think that show was big for that generation because it showed people how to be a father in a way. You know what I mean? And when we got to Roseanne's definitely not the Huxtable family by any means. But it was more of like a weird middle America, white trashy, for lack of a better word, but like more, bad word for that, but more of like a poor class, lower class, like the poor struggling. And I think that, but it was still as effective, because it got very emotional. There was very emotional, moments in that show. I don't know if you ever watched the show, Jeremy, but like the way they ended in the last season, there was like this weird twist where like you find out that Dan's character actually died like the season before, and that everything was just something she created in her head to get through the fact that he died. Like it was this weird psychological dramatic arc it took. And I always appreciated that ending because I've never seen anything like that before.
Is that like last year?
No, that arc was her, that was a
first show.
Arc. They killed her with that was from the 90s version. They finished it up. And then they brought him back. That's why it didn't really make sense, is because when they did the new show, John was in it. Dan was in it. But and they don't really touch base on the fact that he's supposedly dead. But then they killed her off with opioid addiction.
Now I got to watch, because I watch them all in rerun. Yeah. I've seen them all, but I remember them using drugs as why she died, right? That was
in the newer one, yeah.
I don't remember him ever dying.
Yeah, in the original show, I remember he got her. He built a writing room for her because she always wanted to write. And then it goes into a part where he had a heart attack right before Darlene's wedding, and he came back. Then they won the lottery, and then they had like a season. They had a season of them. Rest in peace, Jim Varney. He came in. That was cool. And Divine was supposed to be her uncle, but died like the day before shooting, which is weird. Divine from John Waters, another Midnight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so at the end of the last season, of them being rich, she goes, it's her in the writing room, and she says, this whole the whole last season was me writing what I would wish would have happened, but what really happened is Dan really died a year ago. And it was like so dramatic, dude. It was emotional. It was like crazy. Yeah.
I haven't remember seeing that, but I'd forgotten completely. Yeah. I find myself, when I'm watching a lot of the sitcoms now, finding fault I never found before. Like I thought it was funny before, her being who she is, doing her stand-up stuff, but then you end up finding she's mean. Yeah. She's nasty. She's bad to her husband. She's a snot to everyone. And I went, why is she acting? And I start doing that with a lot of them. Even my favorite Seinfeld, I go, why is he your friend? That guy across the way, he's a mooch. He's a loser. All of a sudden, Kramer, this character I love, I don't like. They wouldn't write. Nobody in reality would have a friend like that.
Yeah.
Just let him eat whenever you want, and didn't blame you or you.
Yeah.
I actually, the funny thing about that is that I had an audition for something. We were doing one of these. I was doing acting class, and I had a scene with a woman. And we went to her house, and we're trying to rehearse, and there's this guy just yelling or doing, and he comes running through, her husband, and it's Michael Richards.
Yeah.
Is her husband. He's got an audition for this thing called Seinfeld, and he's telling me about it. And he's sorry, am I too loud? And his hair's normal. He doesn't have that.
Yeah.
But I always thought that was funny because then, months later, I went, hey, he got it.
Yeah.
But it had nothing to do with it.
Michael's fallen from grace a little bit, but it's weird, the thing with comedians, I think they start to live the gimmick after a while. They do it so long that these characters, like with Roseanne, that was kind of her gimmick, to be that loudmouth, obnoxious person. Like Andrew Dice Clay, where like they just live this gimmick so heavy that they eventually just become it because it's easier than switching it on and off. You know what I mean? Now, you brought up Seinfeld with, a little bit there. You want to talk a little bit about that episode of Seinfeld? Classic episode. The chauffeur in the limo.
I remember having a friend who was a girl. And I guess we were talking, Jerry and I, or somehow it was about dating, and I don't know why. Man, this is maybe my thing. I just butt in. I said, well, I have a friend who's not dating anybody. If you want to, she's sweet, beautiful, very nice. And I set him up with her. This is before he got married.
Yeah.
And that went well, sort of. Yeah, it was nice. But other than that, I was just that guy in the rearview mirror. That's all you saw is my eyes. And every line I gave was in there, except when I picked them up. But again, chauffeuring racists. That was my thing.
They're pretending to be doctors, right? I think, or they were, no, you're right. The race, they were like the hate group. One of the biggest shows of all time. You know what I mean? Show.
And the guy didn't the guy in the limo with me? Didn't he become very famous? 6 Feet Under.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure
as well, right?
I can't remember if that was him. Maybe not. Anyway, it's just one more person I've touched.
And gave him success. Royalty. Everybody send royalty checks too.
You're there only because of me.
Alex,
they say you're better when you play tennis with somebody who's better than you, Bill. So
I was going to comment on it earlier when you're talking about when you come up and you work with these great actors, it's a confidence thing. An actor gains confidence through working with good actors that give them that confidence. You know what I mean? In a way.
Maybe. I remember, I tell this all the time. I did a Murder, She Wrote.
Yes, Angela.
And in it, I have a scene where I've got to sum it up in the end, talking to each of these other actors while I have a videotape and I'm explaining something on the tape. To each of them have a line. And these were Angela Lansbury, there was Gene Barry, Bat Masterson, these were stars. It was one of those episodes where all of us, they always put stars on it. Yeah. But this is one where they had a lot of them. And I was just, my God, I've got to talk to every one of these people that have had 6 series each, 50 years of career. Man, I'm going to stink. How am I going to get up to that level? And it's times 7. And the thing about it is they have a camera over me and they're shooting each of their scenes, their lines, as we go around. And as they go finish, they let them go because it was 9 at night. And you got to let these stars, they're out first, to get them home. And they did them all. They all left. And then they put place in them. They put the continuity girl. She read a line for me to do my lines. So I didn't really have a problem doing scenes with the stars because they were gone. they left me to do it with the makeup person who's just reading. And I hope I didn't stink. But that was amazing. And the whole thing about this Western, I want to get it before I forget, is I love Westerns. But since I've gotten to be more of a less meat, because it helps you live longer, you know, I grew up with bacon and eggs, hash browns, grits every day. So Alabama, you know. So my wife got me into more good eating, and it means less meat. And then all of a sudden I'm saving animals. I'm fostering animals. We have 5 cats, dogs, animals, a horse. We did horses for a while. And next thing you know, I'm watching these Westerns I loved before, and I can't look at the cattle being falling over or horses hitting their necks. And I'm like, you're ruined my whole Western thing. I can't watch John Wayne really, but I got to turn away because I'm going to feel bad for the animals. You know, they're killing Indians left and right. I feel guilty about that, but you know, they're not real. And these animals, it just killed my whole tough guy Western thing.
Well, that's, yeah.
Poor horses, get off those horses.
If you go far back enough, I heard rumor, I don't know if it's true, but didn't they actually like kill horses if they needed them to like be dead or lay down immediately? They'd just like shoot them, like crazy, like craziness.
It was a long time ago before.
Oh yeah, it was about 15 years ago. Alex, I know you had a question or two about the Great Mask film.
Oh yeah, one of the things I was wondering is now you played the Bouncer in the Mask, and you got a work with the great Jim Carrey. Now you got to work with him as Stanley Ipkiss, and then as the Mask. Now I know this was early on in his career, and we've all seen and heard about how he really loves to get into the characters. I mean, how was that working with him? Was it like a different interaction when he was the 2 different characters, or was it just?
Well, when he was the Mask, he was the Mask, and nothing seemed to come out of him that was Jim Carrey in a sense. Yeah. It just was the Mask. And then when he wasn't in it, then he became Jim Carrey. He was like Robin Williams. You knew that he'd be funny all the time. And how do you become funny? Always it had to be taxing on this guy, but it seemed to come out naturally as ever. I mean, I tell this story all the time. It's really quick and funny. I mean, he's coming down the stairs in a very famous hotel, and it wasn't the one we're shooting. It was another one at this long staircase, and people are resting around it, sitting in a break, and he's coming down, and all of a sudden, 2 steps at the top, he just starts into an aria. I don't know the one, but it's like Donne fa mobile, and then etc. Italian. And he's doing it, and then he one quick break, and then all of a sudden some guy on the right stairs starts singing the same thing, and it's me. I start giving it back a little, another piece of operatic, Nessun Dorma, and then he comes over and he starts doing another one, and we're all of a sudden the place is, and you're friends. Yeah. We did the same. It was like Johnny Depp and Jump Street up in Canada.
Yeah.
My wife is saying, why didn't you stay friends? Meaning he gave me his phone number. He says, let's get together when we get down to LA. I'm doing this, it's coming up in a year, a movie about pirates and something. Whatever. I thought, wow. Because I'm not that type to sidle up to anybody. And, if you're going to, it'll be up to you. I never called. I'm sorry. I didn't want him to think, oh, you only wanted to be in a movie. And then another friend of mine gets in it. He's that little tiny, oh God, what's his name? I say friend, I forgot to remember your name. Anyway, there's 2 really wimpy, skinny guys who's on the crew, and then there's very tiny guy. Oh, he's the guy in Seinfeld who won't let Jason park. They both try to park at the same place. He backs in, and he's a friend of him.
He's in a Tales from the Crypt episode with Katie Seagal. He's got that great. Because does he have that kind of squirrely look to him a little bit?
And he always seems a little. And Jerry said something. Something Kramer told him once. He said, "This guy thinks you're a phony." And Jerry accidentally knocks him into a trunk on one other episode. Anyway, he ends up getting into that. I gave him crap from then on. He's my friend.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was curious about that as well because there was a documentary that came out a couple of years ago called Andy and Jim, and it was about Jim Carrey getting into the character of Andy Kaufman for Man on the Moon, I think it was. And yeah, certain people, you know, we've all worked on set, so it's like you can appreciate the artistic difficulties, but then as like crew, you can like not appreciate the artistic difficulties that like an actor will bring in. So we were kind of curious about if there was a yin and a yang. You know, you already answered it, but I think that's kind of what we were going with because that Mask character is so over the top, and the flip to it's just, you know, not so.
Wasn't that the beginning? Wasn't that show the first one of that kind of films? Those fantastic mask kind of films, I think.
Yeah.
Marvel, you know, etc.
Yeah, I think it was like one of the earliest times where they tried. I know that a lot of the things that they did on that was kind of revolutionary at the time because they really hadn't done anything making a pretty much a live action cartoon with a live human being. So yeah, I think that was like the first time they really started doing something like that.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I think, was right before it. But
yeah, I mean, not taking anything from Roger Rabbit, but the difference is that, you know, this was, you know, actually instead of putting in the animation themselves and doing that, you're then doing the CGI with a human host off of that.
Right.
Much. Yeah.
That was the first huge residual that I mentioned earlier. That it was only to mention it because it was so big, 30 grand it was just, I choked. I could not believe that. Got the envelope and then I saw the check and I'm like, oh, I got this. This is so much money. But then I looked down and it was close to 14,000 net. And I went, what is this tax? I mean, what is this? What are they talking? How do you take out 50%?
Yeah.
And I literally sat down and I wrote Clinton a letter. I wrote him a letter saying, I don't remember seeing you in the mask at all, so I don't really see why you get 50%. Show me any part of your help in this. Yeah. You're not doing anything with the money. I never mailed it because, you know, I felt I'd be imprisoned or something.
You would have been killed off. That's how they do it.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention any changes because I might get fired. But that check should have been mine.
I agree. Did you get a chance to meet the late Richard Jeni? By any chance on that set? He was I think Jim Carrey's best friend in the film.
Oh yeah, he was the next door neighbor in our trailer. He had a constant girlfriends coming through there. It seemed like every extra was visiting his trailer.
Really?
I saw he was quite lucky with the ladies. Comedian, and he was an impressionist. I loved him. He was always doing stuff because he, you know, I didn't at the time didn't know I was going to get to meet Frank, but you know, I love that stuff myself. He was good. He did a good Shatner.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that the lady friends stopped for Richard. It got pretty dark. The ending got really dark for Richard, if I remember correctly. Unfortunately, rest in peace.
Yeah, what's this thing now about Armie Hammer? Is he like a cannibal? What is it?
I've heard that, yeah.
Celebrity's insane now?
Yeah.
Well, I think they've always been insane. It's just that it's not
just more coming to the front.
I think it's more in the public eye now with like cell phones, and you can record anyone at a whim now. So I think everyone's been crazy. Just now everyone knows it.
Richard Jeni comes from a time where you only hurt yourself. You don't hurt people around you. But
now it's like anything happens, it's just oh my God, there's a policeman, there's a gun going, and all of a sudden it's camera. Yeah. Like everybody all around, camera.
Yeah.
Wow. It would take me too long to find the button to push to record it. It would be, the violence would be done.
Keeps them honorable.
I had a flip phone till a year ago, so you know this whole electronic world is new to me.
Yeah.
And my friend, buddy, he works on Bosch. You ever see Bosch?
Bosch, yeah.
He's Crate and Barrel. He's one of the two cops, very tall one. He was in Cliffhanger, Greg. I've got to be talking to him now because I don't. This whole business is new. You know, you do auditions from your home. I mean, how do you get an agent now? I mean, is it the same way it used to be? I mean, now I'm forced to have to get an agent, and I'm 67. When I came back from Alabama, I went back 12 years ago to be with my mother and dad. They were getting old, and eventually she passed away, my mom. But it was the greatest 5 years of my life with there. But when I came back, I called the agency, and it turned out Martin Gage had sold it. He got old. He was 80s. He said at the time he sold it to, and I called them and said, well, unless you dump me, I'm ready to go back to work, wherever they work. He said, oh, we don't need any old people right now. Some young guy on the phone. I went, I'm just an old guy to you now. All right, thanks. And then the pandemic and all happened, and I haven't gone back yet. But I've been doing these like signings whenever they can have on a Zoom or a podcast to try to get back in. And I never did this to begin with because of the shyness.
Yeah.
But now I have so much garbage I can say. A lifetime.
A lifetime.
I should have taken a whole lot more pictures, what my wife says, but it was just too shy to get in the face of every one of them. But like I said, I would get pictures. The first picture was John Ritter.
Yeah.
John Ritter. And I just kept getting them. And I know.
John Ritter and Jim Carrey they're a lot alike with that physical comedy, you know what I mean? And at the peak of Ritter's career, he probably was at that height that Carrey got to, you know what I mean? I assume. Yeah. Like the Al Franken when he did Stuart Saves His Family height. You know what I mean? I love that film. I think that's one of the greatest films that SNL ever released. You know what I mean? I think it's one of those that the Al Franken character of Stuart Smalley is definitely out of this world for sure. I love it.
Isn't?
Yeah.
I don't remember because I never saw it.
Never saw it?
I'm afraid I could never. I'm going to start seeing. My wife and I were going to start putting together, trying to Amazon, just buy everything I'm in, and just so that my daughter can have,
for sure,
if she cares. Yeah, my dad was an actor. Oh, what in? You get a whole library.
Exactly.
But yeah, that I never saw it. But isn't Michael Madsen in that with me?
I believe he is in that. I know that it directed by the great Harold Ramis. Michael Madsen was in it because he's seen the spark in that Reservoir Dogs audition, and he said, I'm coming on for the ride. Here I come.
Yeah. Ramis saw us both together. He said, I'll see who should have got it.
Late great Harold Ramis. Yeah, rest in peace.
I know. Harold, I couldn't believe it. I got all Wes Craven, Harold.
I know.
Columbus, Hughes. It's just
classic. Yeah.
Very lucky.
You happen to have any memories from the set or anything inside look in the Ramisville? Got to be one of the greatest comedic directors of the last, 30 years for sure.
No, it was again one of those
jobs, just a job.
Did the job, get out, go away.
Yeah.
And, they don't really warm up to actors a lot of the time. I mean, they've got a job, and I bet, but not film, but I know TV directors are under a huge pressure financially, so they can't have you taking 5 takes in a TV show. That was one thing I learned. Show up on time, know your lines. That was a Spencer Tracy thing, and get it in a take.
Yeah.
Or get it in 2 if you can. You're not thinking that while you're doing it, but you do sort of want to make sure you get it right away.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to see a director like do things like that, while you're on. Great, good for you. Let's go on. And they have that happiness that everybody in the big money is going to be happy. He's getting it done on time. He's not behind.
Now, the 13th Floor, very fun, ahead of its time movie. Do you have any memories from the making of that?
13th Floor.
The simulation movie, yeah.
Only from meeting Gretchen Mol, because she was just one of those faces I can't talk when I'm looking at you. It's just you're so perfect everywhere. And then there was that older actor. Again, it's a name thing.
Armin
Mueller-Stahl. That's it.
Yeah.
That was another kind of chilly kind of hello, chills. God, he's like huge, dude.
Yeah.
But no, I wish there was something attached other than.
D'Onofrio. I know Vinny D'Onofrio's in there too. Alex over here is a big fan of Vincent D'Onofrio. I could take him or leave him depending on the day.
Vincent D'Onofrio was a friend of mine who introduced me to Virginia.
Yeah.
He was a friend of hers, and she always brought him up and me together, thinking that we were interchangeable.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, but I remember him in quite a few films. Oh, isn't he got his own? He's a cop. He's Criminal Minds. What is he?
Yeah, he's
CSI?
got one Dangerous
SUV.
Like that.
Yeah. Criminal Intent. Law and Order. Criminal Intent was the show he was on. Yeah. I think he left that maybe, I don't know, I think it's been like maybe 4 years now. I know that he was in like the Daredevil TV series as the Kingpin. Yeah. That's the last thing I know he's still doing other stuff, but that's the last like TV show that he did.
Yeah, after we met, he became famous.
Him and Val Kilmer did a cool, underrated film called The Sea Sultan together. I think it was the late 2000s, 2010s era. That was a fun film. I like D'Onofrio. He's your buddy. I can't give him a hard time. He was great in Full Metal Jacket. Woo! And The Cell, fantastic.
Metal Jacket. I thought I should have been in that one too, but that didn't happen.
I just recently watched the Val Kilmer documentary, and he sent out, put together an audition tape for Full Metal Jacket. Did you ever get into that deal? I know you're a little shy around the camera and stuff, but you weren't. I know you said there were certain directors or types of films that you wanted to work on. You ever really kind of pursue in that aspect of it? Yeah, I
didn't have it. I didn't have it in me to the thought pattern around. I mean, the soup Nazi buddy Larry Thomas, he's good at it. He knows how to push himself into somebody so that they can see that he should have his own series and be a star. But I can't. I don't know. I guess it doesn't come up. I can't.
Yeah, I hear you.
I would like to be able to. My mother seems to, used to, before she passed, she said, why don't you call, she had that Southern accent. She said, why don't you call that Spielberg? Get him. He could use someone as good as you. And I'm like, yeah, I'll just get on the phone.
My grandmother tells me the same thing about my film career. Why don't I just call Spielberg up? I said, well, maybe tomorrow, Grandma. We'll see.
Yeah. It's the first time I called her, I said, did you see when I did something? And of course, it was evil.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, you were good. I just, I questioned how I raised you. I mean, because you couldn't have done that well if you didn't have a little of it in you. And it's not real. Just like your wrestling, Mom. Oh, and she freak out. Wrestling is real. Shut up.
It's still real to me.
Yeah, I got to meet the Big John Studd. Mean nothing to you guys, but he's
I love Big John,
a famous wrestler. Yeah, well, he was in Marrying Men, and she just didn't care. Alec Baldwin, Kim Basinger, it doesn't matter to me. You're swimming with Big John Studd. He told me, Mom, that it's not real. He faked everything. Shut up. Stop talking.
Some of the best YouTube clips ever, the wrestling fans crying when people tell them that it's not real, and they go, it's real to me. I love those videos. And I love wrestling. Not so much nowadays, but back in my youth, the 80s and 90s, I was all about that.
Because then you sort of believed it. I don't know why you sort of believed it.
Yeah.
Maybe I was young.
They were brewed, I think, because there was less theatrics to it. When you see them on the microphone and getting their personality, you're not as afraid of them anymore. But if they're just like the Undertaker lumbering through a crowd, not smiling, and then they hammer somebody in the ring and then walk out, you kind of get the feel like they'd maybe do that to you. So
yeah, and when you see him now, it's like, oh, he's running over against the ropes, and then he jumps against him, and then he flips and ends up on top of his head on top of, come on.
Yeah.
You don't think that was planned?
Right.
I can't explain it to people. But
I remember they killed Macho Man Randy Savage at one point.
Macho Man.
Brought him back a day later.
It was a dream.
Yeah, Jake, exactly. Jake the snake bit him, and he supposedly died. Then he came back on like Monday Night Raw. Good old days of wrestling. Rest in peace, Macho Man. Yeah. One of the best.
Everybody's going.
It's unfortunate, but we're spiritual, and we have hope that where everybody's going is a better place than here. That's the important part.
That'd be nice. Sometimes you think it's just how kind of an ego do you have? Do you think that you can't die?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I'd like to say this someplace else.
Yeah.
I'd like to know the reasons for life. Why did we? Does he have a plan? If there's a he, I don't know. Yeah,
it's tricky. It doesn't feel like there's a plan, but there could be,
It's a lengthy one. I kind of jumped on the idea of like, is it not Scientology? It's science and religion together. Where I believe that it took him millions of years, and that's the 7 days you're talking about. He didn't just do it overnight, and he made mistakes. Okay, dinosaurs were a mistake, and it didn't work. So all of a sudden they're gone, and now let's try again. Okay, we've got this thing called humans. So it's not great either, but it's better than before. And that's how long it took. And that's what's happening. And if you go with the Bible, it says, you touch this apple, and we're done. I won't step in anymore. And he did, and then he hasn't. So there's no miracles. It's all random. I'm sorry. You've heard it here.
Hopefully.
But it is slightly religious. It keeps it together. Yeah. That you can have evolution and that together. But they don't want that.
Hopefully people won't be talking about humanity as a mistake in the future. That'd be unfortunate. Some people already do, but hopefully they don't have the proof of it with us not being here anymore. It's crazy. Well, Alexander, do you have any more questions? I know we kept Jeremy for a long while.
No, I mean, I've been enjoying this entire conversation. Everything that I wanted to hit, we talked about. And I'm sure that if we kept digging, we'd be here for another 3 or 4 hours, because
probably
it's true.
You got some great stories and great experiences, and it's.
Oh, I was on the set of The Mexican with Brad, with Pitt.
Oh yeah,
and,
Gore, directed by Gore Verbinski, my boy.
Again, and he guaranteed me that he had a place for me. Gore, what happened? Did you forget me?
The last thing he did was more indie. It was that Cure for Wellness, horror thriller, which I think was super, by Hollywood standards, super indie, low budget.
Well, I saw that.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
That was Leonardo?
That was Shutter Island. You're thinking it's very similar though. It is very similar. The one he did, I don't think had any name actors in it.
Oh, okay.
He did that
actually, because I read Cure for Wellness, and then when it came out, I wanted to see it. So I'm shocked that I can't remember.
When I was hyped for it myself, you know what I mean. He also did that Johnny Depp vehicle, The Lone Ranger, which didn't quite work out for him. So that's the crazy thing about Hollywood films is you get this money, and if you lose the money, unless you're well connected, if you lose that money, you really gotta fucking hustle to get back to that place. You know what I mean?
I forgot. The Mexican was just a little titty that I was sitting there with him in a break, and I'm sitting next to Brad Pitt. It was again just trying to be normal, talk
right,
and talking about relationships or a girlfriend, and he just seems antsy and weird, and he goes, "I just got to tell someone." Hold on, wait. He runs to his trailer, comes back, and he reaches in his pocket, and he goes, "I'm asking her to marry me tonight. Oh. I just got to tell someone. I've been keeping this in. He was going to ask Jennifer to marry." And I thought, "Oh my God, that's great." He says, "Please don't tell me." Oh, I said, "Oh no." I'm reaching in my pocket. I pull out a phone and I start dialing. I'm someone from the Daily News or something. It was Entertainment Tonight. It wasn't really. I was faking it. I says, I got Brad Pitt here right now. He's just telling me, he grabbed the phone. I'm like, just fucking with, there's nobody on there. He's like, I oughta.
Brad Pitt.
Not,
Brad Pitt.
again, funny guy. He was so easy to get along with. And my wife was, she was in love with Angelina Jolie. So I couldn't, of course, that didn't happen then yet.
That was coming. That was in Angelina Jolie's prime. That was Hackers era. Little after Hackers era, which was glorious.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I did. I had another little scene with a Kim Basinger. That was one of those gushy. This was a male coming on to a female in the scene, and I had to come on to the most beautiful woman in the world, and it just, you could see the pits. I had to do it sleazy too. I wanted her to like me.
She's royalty too. John Voight, I believe, is her father, if I remember correctly.
Right.
I was surprised to hear that when I found that out.
Well, that's Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, Angelina Jolie.
Oh, Kim Basinger was the person I was. Yeah, that was in Marrying Man, but she was one of those that had that face. Just, I can't speak. You just, the camera beyond loves you.
Yeah.
Well, you're genetically perfect.
It's true. I was very surprised recently to find out that Jennifer Jason Leigh is the daughter of Vic Morrow.
Vic Morrow?
Vic Morrow, yeah, who passed away during the Twilight Zone movie. With that
Combat?
Yeah, he from Combat. Yeah, he was in Combat. Then he kind of fell. He had a little fall, and then he came back. The whole story of the Twilight Zone is like super tragic because like he was coming back, and like he got this movie, and it was a big stunt. And he even called his agent, was like, "I don't want to do this stunt." And the agent was like, "You're gonna start turning down movies now?" And he was like, "You're right." And he went out and did it and died. Him and 2 kids died. Crazy story. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Hollywood wants you to forget about that one. That's one of those things. Under the rug. We keep that under the rug, under the surface. Crazy. Wow. Crazy deal. It's crazy. Alex, it's very crazy stuff out there. I know that you got to work on the show Monk.
Yeah.
And I know Alexander Hawk over here, gigantic Monk fan. Was it Tony Shalhoub?
Shalhoub. Tony
Shalhoub.
Guitarist from Black Sabbath, I think. My bad.
Yeah. And you were also on an episode of Wings, I think, right?
I think 2 episodes.
Wings, yeah.
Wings.
So did you work with him on that and then on Monk? Or
good question.
I don't think Tony Shalhoub was on all the episodes of Wings, but I know
a lot of them.
He was on a lot of them. So
he was like the Kramer character on Wings, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
He was that great Italian waiter. That's who his character became. Started out when he was a waiter. Then they brought him in, and you kept thinking about that kind of thing when you're an actor. One of these, come on. Someone is just gonna, like Jamie Farr in MASH. He was just one time, and they had to put him back. And I kept thinking, well, maybe I just don't have that one thing that'll just. But then, they're trying to bring me back in now, so who knows? I'll be somebody's grandpa.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see you back on the screen. TV's where it's at nowadays. TV.
Oh, I can't believe all the shows. Hulu, Netflix, Peacock, etc. Name it. It's just, everyone's got a show, or 2 or 3 or 4. I keep seeing them, and I go, I don't care if I think I stink. I've got to do it just in numbers and odds. I would get one, unless I've completely forgotten how to do it.
I think that you would make TV would be very big for you. I also think that like independent film, a little, you know what I mean? I think that's a good, because the thing with independent film is it might not get as much of a reach that other films will get, but the support, the people that made that film, with you being a part of it, will give you a lot of support. You know what I mean? And they'll promote you very well because they're actually gung-hoing. They're the ones promoting that film, so they're like pushing heavy. But TV is definitely the deal. Are you still union, or did you pop out of the union for a bit?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so you're not going to want to do low budget movies then?
It's kind of I don't mind low budget.
I hear you.
As long as SAG says it's okay, yeah.
Exactly, yes.
You can't do it for nothing kind of thing.
I hear you, for sure.
But I'm going to get a chance to judge some like fan acting.
Yeah.
Star Trek fan acting, where you judge productions that fans have made of their own Star Trek, like it's called the B.J. Trimble Awards, or it's a BJO, or
Yeah. Like a fan,
I have that catalog over here of him, her, it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've got to go back and get an agent. Hi, honey. That's my wife.
But I think you got an upper hand going back in, I think.
Well, as long as you need old people.
I hear they're rebooting Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which you were a part of.
Oh, well, I could go back because, oh, wait, age does matter in that one, though, doesn't it? But that face, that won an Academy, not an Emmy, for the artist that did that.
Big show, Josh Whedon's huge right now. Well, right now he has it. Everybody's got issues. Everybody did something to upset somebody. It's crazy.
And during the Star Trek thing, I had nothing to do with the problem between Roddenberry and director.
Yeah.
Just went out of my mind.
Yeah.
We had no clue anything was going on between those two.
Huh.
Although you hear about it in the papers later, and I'm not sure if he passed away during it, or did he get to ever see it? Roddenberry?
The original creator writer, the guy who created the whole deal.
Yeah.
He might have passed away.
Yeah, he.
Before it.
I don't know. I don't know when exactly he passed. I know that he passed, I think, like in the early days of like Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I just don't remember exactly when Deep Space Nine started and everything. So I know I read something about that, about him, passing along those times.
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine, that was great. That was a show that you can go back and look at it. When you say all cast and crew, it just goes on for a million pages.
Yeah.
That was their deal. They wanted to get every character actor a job in. They were going to put it in Deep Space Nine. They did. Mm-hmm. And I can't believe the amount of people I see in that. Yeah.
It's a universe. It's bigger than the Marvel universe almost. There's different offshoots of it, movies, television, books. It was originally a book or something, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. I think. Yeah.
I don't know. Deep Space. Book. I mean, Star Trek itself has become a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll ever stop.
Never.
Unless space stops, I don't know.
Space is going to come closer to us, which would be a problem. The Star Trek thing is weird because how gigantic that first series is. It's only like 3 seasons or 2 seasons. It's like a limited amount of episodes, but it has such an impact on culture. It's kind of crazy.
I wasn't a huge fan of Next Generation, but that you can't be a fan of everything.
Exactly.
I like Picard. I mean, I love him.
Of course. Did you ever see Green Room? It's a more modern, came out like in the last maybe 10 years. It's an indie thriller. Picard is in it. He plays like a white supremacist leader, and it's phenomenal. Like it's great. It's like the people who made it are super talented. He's great. And
Green Room.
Yeah.
Can it be watched on the Streamland?
Yeah.
Land of Streaming.
Oh yeah, you can probably find it on there. I'd say.
All right.
Somewhere. Yeah, I'd say, or Amazon Prime. I will say this: if you have to pay for it, it's worth. Do you get into like newer indie? You watch newer indie movies at all, or just kind of?
Yeah, sometimes I like right around when they're having the Academy Award and they do the independent film awards. I start watching a couple of months to see if I can see a few. Because most of the time there's somebody I know, or I got to see that because so and so's in it, or John Hawkes. Bring him up. Because he was in Wings also. I was trying to Monk. John Hawke was in it.
Steven Weber.
Pardon me? Steven Weber. All of them. Yeah. And once again, all of them famous now. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking I could make a lot more people famous if I just go back to work.
That's true.
There's the future fame. It's up to me.
So all you casting directors out there listening, you want a successful film under your belt? Come get Jeremy.
Oh, actually, see, that doesn't work when I do that. I'm pointing at you.
I know.
But on my screen, I'm pointing. Yeah.
Mama said it's not nice to point. So yeah, dude, Green Room is definitely cool. There's a movie called Blue Ruin by the same director. Very good. They're like psychological thriller, kind of like revenge movies, but like done nicely. You know what I mean?
All right.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. So in your downtime, what do you regularly like to watch?
Oh God, I always watch sitcoms. It's sad. I hate to admit that, but I'm constantly. I guess it's because I'm wanting to be down,
Yeah,
and I want something that I really don't have to think about and stare at. And usually, I've seen them all 100 times, so it doesn't. It's just a background.
yeah.
But if I pick up something, I'm into Succession now. I like Succession, and
Yes.
we're watching something called Nine Perfect Strangers with Kidman and others.
I've heard of that one. Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Carnivale. It's on there's first 3 episodes. We've seen 2, and she's one of those people that she's the person day and night, which I think could be very tedious.
Yeah,
Character.
it's true.
Didn't care for her really much anyway. She doesn't care. She's actually said, "I don't care if Jeremy Roberts likes it."
A T-shirt.
Who?
I love it.
Yeah. Well, you can't blame her. She knew Tom Cruise. What was that about?
Nicole? Intimately.
She married Tom Cruise.
She did it so she could be in Eyes Wide Shut with him. That was the only reason why she married Tom Cruise. And Far Away.
Wasn't that a stinky?
What, Eyes Wide Shut?
Hated it.
As a kid, I'll say this. As a kid,
you probably would have been.
I didn't like it because it went way over my head. But later in life, I really enjoy it because I get deeper into the conspiracy stuff and that whole secret society type vibe. And I almost, without being a wacko, I could almost speculate maybe something like that is why Mr. Kubrick, Mr. Kubrick died like 6 days after the first time that movie screened to the studios. It's a weird deal. Are you a Kubrick fan?
Oh yeah, 2001. My wife is huge. She loves Kubrick.
Love him.
Yeah. What was Clockwork Orange? Wasn't that him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I got to meet him. Oh.
Cool, Kubrick.
Oh no,
I was gonna say
Roddy
I was
McDowell.
gonna shit my pants for a second. Yeah.
Roddy McDowell, man.
Roddy McDowell. We met Roddy. He's a great dude. Roddy's a great dude. Yeah.
I got to meet him in Wing Commander. It was a game.
Yeah.
Wing Commander.
Yeah. Roddy's
and also, you may not know her, but Ginger Lynn. Does that ring a bell to anyone?
Yeah. She kind of from the horror community a little bit.
No, well, X-rated film first.
Like a model. Yeah. I met her at Spooky World, which is like a weird like 15 years ago. I met her. It was her, ICP, and it was the dude who wrote the Monster Mash. They brought all 3 of them in to like sign autographs. Yeah, she was cool. It was funny. I remember I was going to give her a hug and she didn't want to give me a hug. That made me laugh. It's okay. She's the best.
Spooky World. I got a friend who's doing a documentary, I think, about that because he said he'd just been What? Yeah, his name is Quinn Monahan. He's doing a documentary. He just does those.
Yeah.
He's doing one on Spooky World and that whole phenomenon about, etc., horror film. And he was doing because I was talking to him because I wanted to get I had to put together a reel that I never had to have before. Now I got to have one, and it can't be 7 to 10 minutes. It's got to be like 30 seconds. And I go, it's like one roll. That's all I got.
Right.
Again, I lost the subject, but Quinn Monahan, because he had just been interviewing Robert England. And he said, I can't do it for you now, but I got somebody who gave me another name. But he was doing the Spooky World documentary. Yeah. And I said, hey, I was in, People Under the Stairs. Come on.
Yeah.
If you want to interview me, become someone first, he said. We don't need old men.
He's crazy. Yeah, Spooky World. The haunts are a big deal right now. All these haunted houses that are popping up everywhere. And that was the first one that I could really think of, like locally, that was just all year round. You'd go there and there'd be people dressed up walking the grounds. There was multiple haunted houses throughout the whole setup, and you could just walk to different themed ones. It was really cool. We know a dude that was one of the co-owners because they had like a whole wax museum of like all horror people, and he's still got a lot of it in his little. He's got like a shop with a bunch of that stuff in it. Yeah. Hell yeah. Let's hope the world don't get any more spookier.
I just didn't. I'm not a big horror film, like Hostel and those ones that are really gruesome.
Yeah.
And that whole going to some place just so you can go, God, oh no, I had a quadruple bypass. I don't.
Yeah, you don't need that.
Can't have that kind of fear.
Exactly.
Just the only horrors are me and acting and films and TV.
Well, you know how it is. The horrors are over. Jeremy's returning in a big way.
He's coming back.
We support you. We usually ask a big question right around the finishing of it, which is an actor question. Now, we know you kind of stepped out for a little bit, but we get a lot of actors and filmmakers and artists of all kinds that listen to the show. Do you have any advice for like an artist on the come up of dealing with discouraging moments, or like when they get to a point where it just feels like nothing's working and they want to give up or something? You got any advice that you would give somebody?
I would just say the typical, never give up. Because, anybody can make it.
Yeah.
Look, anyone can make it. If you can act or not, you can still work. Don't give up on that. Because obviously I didn't think I could act either. I knew I was good on stage, but I didn't believe it on film, TV. I thought I stunk. Yeah. But I didn't give up because she kept giving me the part. And I was very happy about that. No.
You're still doing something right, because you were getting
something must have. So, right. That's what I thought. They wouldn't be hiring me. They're not gonna put somebody who stinks in $1 million this or that.
Yeah. You show up, you're passionate, willing to work, a good person that people want to be around. And that's kind of advice right there. You know what I mean?
But then on the other side, you could show up, get the job, and then never get another one too.
Yeah, it's tricky.
About it. Yeah. I've seen that. I do that. That's one big thing. I love watching shows. My wife hates it because I'm constantly matching up someone. Oh, look at that. That's the son of Clint Eastwood, I bet you. And it turns out to be, or, because they look just like him. Yeah. Or I see the guy in the back. Hey, I did a show with him 16 years ago. See him, he's walking across, he got a line. Shut up. I ruin the films. But, God, I see millions that try. Millions. It's the place you go when you want to be rich and famous. So, I don't know what you can tell people, because if they want to do it, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
If I'm working, and I'll tell that to all the 65 and over people out there, give up now. You don't have a shot. I don't see it. I've heard people, editors, when I go in and I do a editing, because they had a plane go over and you got to dub in.
Yeah.
I had a couple of them say to me, and a lot of people said it after, God, do you see De Niro? You remind me of De Niro.
You do have a De Niro look.
I don't know. I don't see it, but they constantly were saying, and I went, oh, that's good. I like that. You talking to me? I don't know. Don't give up.
For sure. That's the, big.
Live long, prosper. But as I said, if you're over 60, give up, because I'm in there now.
You want your roles.
They're not going to hire you. I'm the one. I got to get a picture. I'm going to send a picture to who's casting this. What's it called? Discovery. Is that the most recent?
Yeah.
Star Trek.
Star Trek. Yeah.
Yeah. There's got to be an alien in that. I know it can't be me, but I don't know what era it's in. I haven't watched Discovery yet, but.
Yeah, Discovery takes place like I forget how many years after the end of Next Generation. No, I got that backwards. That's Picard. During the Christopher Pike era, the guy who was the head of the Enterprise for the pilot before they got Shatner in.
Oh my God, I don't know this.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
wow, you're telling me shit. That's good.
Yeah, if you look, it's called The Cage, I believe. It was the pilot episode for the original Star Trek. The only person that made it was Spock, Leonard Nimoy. Everyone else they didn't keep. And Discovery is pretty much supposedly takes place with a crew before, during the time, because Christopher Pike, who ends up being the captain of the Enterprise, shows up with his crew in this new, Discovery TV series. So that's where it's supposed to be fitted.
Did you actually see it, or you just read about that happening?
I watched the first 3 seasons. I think,
and that's watchable now.
Hmm?
I mean, not Discovery, but you said the guy there was somebody playing with them before the original Star Trek.
Yeah.
Did it air?
Yeah, it did air. I believe you can find on YouTube. Possibly if it's on streaming. I can't see them not having it with the original Star Trek, because it was the original pilot that they put out to try, and they didn't really get into it because the big thing was they thought it was too cerebral. They wanted more of like Bonanza in space. That's why they brought in Kirk and more of the Western motif with the Kirk character.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I want to know the actor. I do that too. I want to know who the actor was, because so many stories about like Sean Connery turning down this, and you're like, are you kidding? But then the guy who did it afterward was brilliant. So, they always end up okay. But that I like to see who the actor is. And sometimes you see something, where did he go?
Yeah.
You wonder why. He was great. How come he didn't end up being, well, obviously I wasn't in it with him, but how come he didn't become famous? I see myself, I look like my mom. Oh, wow.
It's a beautiful thing.
The beard, she's got one just.
Yeah.
But hold out hope. I think that you can end up on Discovery. If not, maybe Picard. You never know. They always need it.
Or somehow playing Dimitri Valtin's predecessor, his uncle, his some great uncle or something that in the past.
Yeah.
Or slap some plastic on me and make me an alien. I always like 5 hours in a tomb, Well, that happened on Deep Space Nine. I ended up getting sick in the mask, and they put a zipper in the back in case I got really sick and had to get out of that mask. They could yank it off, and I could go to a bucket, which I did, and they had to. And then they had to replace me in it. They didn't replace me. They allowed me to stay in what I'd already shot. And the guy who was my stand-in, who had to put on the makeup every day like I did and never got seen, that day he got to be a SAG card, and he took over. I think you can even see him in a scene where he's shot, because he's an African-American, he's a black guy. So you can kind of see it in the through the makeup a bit.
Yeah.
In the eyes, that's him. I went, oh. But I can't tell who I am in it. I think I hear my voice in one character, but it might be it because most of the characters that were Jem'Hadar, they did something down here. They were all doing this. And I remember I hear a scene where a Jem'Hadar comes past a table, picks something up, and he goes, what's this? And it was my voice. I went, that's me, because it's not, what's this? I'm doing me. Yeah. It just sounds like a regular person saying. But then I can't figure anything else out. I know he shot stuff. I know I'm one of the 6 with guns, and then my name's in the front of the movie.
Yeah, you played Osama Khan or something like that.
Mesoclon, yeah.
Yeah, you were the one that had a major issue with the other guy who was trying to get you guys off the white. But, you're like, you didn't trust Chief O'Brien or Bashir, and you just thought you guys should just kill him.
Now, I remember seeing this now, watching it. Somebody talks like that, but it wasn't me. But I have not looked close enough. I looked up the script because I didn't keep it just to see. And I found a script, but it didn't have the people's names over their lines. So I couldn't tell what were Mesoclon's lines. So to this day, I don't really know. But that day, it was 90 degrees and everybody wasn't feeling well. And I didn't want to tell anyone because you don't want to say, I can't do it, get out.
Right.
So I did it sick for a day or two until I just had to tell them, today's not a good day. And they said, all right, zipper. And within an hour or two, I was out there and I was like, they ran over and I, wow. Of course, they said that the insurance wouldn't let me go on. So they had to let somebody else do it. But I kept my credit, and I think I'm in it. But
do you ever keep keepsakes from films? You know, like maybe a script or maybe a part of the wardrobe or anything like that? I've known a few actors that did that.
see, sometimes, I mean, I had to admit, I wanted to be a thief during this, but you know, there were guards at the front doors and the back at the studio.
Yeah.
They had a guard next to the wardrobe rack, which was right next to the stage with a guard. I mean, fully weaponized. I mean, wow, why you got a weapon? Well, are you kidding? It's a costume. But I wanted one of those tunics.
Of course.
I just couldn't figure out a way to get it.
Yeah.
You can't, but you know, there was this thing I hold. It was like the beginning, the first iPad. I'm holding this brown, it was made out of wood. Whoever had structured and made it. And I think it was the last day of the shoot. I went to the bathroom, slipped it under the stall to another out of the way and walked out and came back and got it. And I hate to say that they're going to come after me now. I know.
Yeah.
Now I'll never get a job because he's just a stealer.
He wanted to keep it safe. That's how I remember the story going.
Yeah.
Yes.
Until I had to sell it to make money.
There you go.
I got this. I show this all the time because it's just, I just love it.
Oh yeah.
So forget where I got to hold this thing.
Here we go.
Let that be your last battlefield. This is Star Trek. Let this be your last battlefield. It was the one that Frank Gorshin was in. He had the black and white.
Yes.
He played Belle or Belle, B-L-E. That was great. I mean, you're black on one side, white on the other. Star Date. He gave this to me, and
hell yeah.
I did a lot of things like this. I got a Herbie fully loaded car up there. You can't really see it, but it's on the. And this was made for me.
Oh.
A pop, I guess is what it's called.
Yeah.
It's Dimitri Valtain from Star Trek. He's even got the lieutenant's emblem, being a lieutenant. Yeah, when I got that, it was like, I'm a science officer. I know I'm one of a few. I know Tuvok later. But during the film, there wasn't any other science officer. I was the first science officer, and that meant that I was Spock to Sulu in my mind. I'm Spock to Sulu, and I saw a series. Oh, yeah. Actually, I should have been the first officer for Picard. I think I would have kicked ass. You know, I think Frakes got it, right?
Yeah.
Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah.
I thought that was mine. I thought for certain I would be in it. But
I think the possibilities of getting a new Star Trek is very possible because all the people making them now are the people that enjoyed them then. You know what I mean? So they would love to have those tie-ins of bringing back the people from the original. You know what I mean?
That's what I think. Yeah. I think they do that a lot. They do that a lot in films, mainly like Star Trek, these kind of fan-driven, huge TVs and films. They like to throw in, oh, you see that guy right there? He played in another or something. I know that somehow I said, well, look here. I got it right here. Yeah. Besides, I got that thing at the end of IMDb says I'm one of the only 5 people that ever gone from the film to a TV show. There's only 5 of us. And I thought, well, I got to get into another one. I got to get into 6, 7 so that I get that. So IMDb is kind of weird because you know how it looks? It's got that whole thing about IMDb. It's all this stuff. And then on the right side, it'll show stuff about the person you looked up. Mm-hmm. Jeremy Roberts, everything. And they'll show what you can buy the films in and what they're on that week. And also there's a section in there for Jeremy Roberts, who's an incredible artist for Marvel Comics. And they've got his stuff on my IMDb. So I'm also a great actor and an incredible artist for Marvel. So
you need royalty checks for that as well.
Nobody's sending me any money, but
Marvel's doing
just looks better. Yeah, he's everywhere.
That's more important. Being everywhere is more important than the money in the overall scheme of things. You know?
Takes them forever to get that stuff off.
Yeah.
Google.
Well, IMDb's tricky. That's horrifying sometimes.
You know, Google, I was last year before that for about a year, I was constantly writing Google, saying, when you say Google, Jeremy Roberts, there's this Canadian car salesman's face that comes up, and then underneath it, they'll say everything about me.
Yeah,
and I go, that's not me. It's a politician in Canada. Get him off. You don't understand. I could have agents calling and they want this bad guy, and you got him. Nothing wrong. I'm not saying car salesmen aren't handsome. I'm just saying he had a look that didn't say evil or bad, or he could do that. He went, they're not going to hire that car salesman. Get it off. Took them almost a year.
It's terrible. It's the Canadian.
I made him famous too.
That animal. It's a Canadian thing. There's a Canadian Matthew Fisher that is a musician. So yeah, I blame the Canadians all across the board.
Always. I think it's their fault for everything.
They give you
That's where we were trying to find a place to leave because we were going to move to New Zealand or Canada.
Yeah.
The last 4 years, it just, we weren't thrilled with America.
Right.
But I thought, well, New Zealand's where we've been wanting to move for 20 years. The minute I did a show there, gosh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. America's been very weird. You think we'll ever get a president that everybody will be happy with again? I don't think that'll ever be. Yeah.
They opened the Pandora's box of that element. I mean, sorry. I mean, they seem to have changed from just politician Republican to now we hate each other.
Right.
I mean, you're immoral or something that's wrong. You pick bad. I mean, you can have your vote, but shoot, it didn't go well, and then you want to keep it going well.
Right.
Anyway, we shouldn't talk religion or politics. So. You stay friends.
There's a great divide, unfortunately. I think that there's a bigger, the interest is more keeping people divided than joining up, which is unfortunate. I think that's why they have all these political people. They invest so much into getting people to hate each other on, race, gender, politics, the whole deal. Because if, you're hating each other, you don't focus on the real problem.
All right. Oh, well.
Ay, caramba! Ay. All right, well, this was a great episode. Jeremy, thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you.
We're going to be supporting you to the fullest. If you ever want to be on the show again, you are always welcome here, my friend. Always welcome. We'll stay in touch.
Well, if I get back, I certainly will. If I get a job, the first job, I'll be going, hey!
Hell yeah. We want to promote it. Fuck
They haven't figured it out yet. I got a job.
Yeah.
They still think I'm good.
Yeah. We're pulling for you.
See, it freaks me out here when Alexander here gets all frozen and looking. I think he's angry, and I realize, he's just frozen.
Well, that's why on occasion I do play serial killers.
There we go.
That's true.
But we only do that sometimes.
Just at home.
Yeah.
I see duct tape and things back there too. We were careful.
Yeah. He's trying.
What's the music you got going? You have albums.
Me? Those are all soundtracks. That's where I keep my soundtracks.
Okay. I like the soundtrack for Rudy.
From Rudy? I don't own the soundtrack. I got the movie somewhere.
That'll make you weep.
It will.
It's one of my favorite films. I love that.
It's a great underdog film, yeah.
Yeah, I love that kind of thing.
Those are mainly some comedies, horror, exploitation, action. I get influenced by them. I let them influence my life.
Do you have any Russ Meyer films?
Films, yeah. For sure. Absolutely. Faster Pussycat, Kill. Me and Quentin Tarantino watched that a lot together. That's like his favorite movie of all time.
Yes, because they told me a story when they were in New York. Frank and Haji, they had lunch at that. Dropping nets up at the restaurant that's been famous for 100 years, and they have pictures like that one of stars.
Yeah.
Okay.
All over the place, and they were in this restaurant, and Frank's was on the wall too, of course. and they had Quentin Tarantino because he was shooting something, a TV series. What was that show?
ER. He did an episode of ER, I believe.
It was Las Vegas, I think.
Okay.
Josh Duhamel was that night, Las Vegas years.
Yes,
Even Frank was there, and that was Quentin was with him. What was this about? See, what were we talking about?
We're talking about Quentin Tarantino and me watching Faster Pussycat Kill Kill.
Right. Oh, sorry. That was what came up in their conversation. They were talking around, and he's having it was like, here's Quentin, just like me, like loving this Frank, and he's having lunch with him, and they're talking about this film that his girlfriend, my mother-in-law's in. And I'm a nerd fan. That won't change,
That's
I'll never change.
Yeah. That's what, and Quentin is too. That's why Quentin's so cool, is because he's a fan first, and he came from nothing, which I appreciate. Another gentleman I might add that didn't know his father, and he didn't have money, which is two big deals. And he's to get to the heights of Hollywood where Mr. Tarantino's at today, without being blessed with connections or kind of finances, is really something that should be commended. I know a lot of people give him some hate. Unfortunately, they hate on Quentin every now and then, but he really is one of the best filmmakers going, and I gotta respect his come up for sure.
Yeah, well, I agree completely. I'm not a total fan always. Sometimes I guess it could be you got old. There's just blood everywhere, and I go, am I just old? Am I my dad now? But I was never a big horror kind of. Just kind of lend to like the Django. I just went, what?
Yeah.
And he's not filming anymore, isn't he? He's just giving it up.
He's doing one more film, I believe, and then he's supposed to be tapping out. He's going to write books, and he'll probably do television.
I didn't see. Guess. What was the one with the Pitt and D'Onofrio?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I haven't seen it, and I keep saying to myself, I'm gonna see this because it sounds like a blast.
Very good. I think you would like it, actually.
Okay. All right.
Very 50. I think it's 50. No, what 70s? I think it's 70s. It's Hollywood.
Manson era, so.
Well, it's a Manson. What is that?
69. Manson was 69. 69. So yeah, it's based in 1969.
Oh, and I love those kind of films. I don't know why I didn't see it, because I love anything that has a period, wherever. But period Hollywood. Wow, I grew up, the Strip. So everything you see would be. You get old.
Was Haji the stepmother at the time that you auditioned for Reservoir Dogs?
No.
Okay, because I was going to say I didn't want to speculate, but if you drop that fun fact on him, it could have worked in your favor a little bit.
Oh, yeah. If I had done that on almost anything, I could probably be having work.
Because he's a gigantic fan. That little connection would have been like, all right. And then nobody would know Michael Madsen. Oh, my God. Poor Michael Madsen.
Great. Now I can think about that. If I'd have only met her sooner.
They'd be like, how much gas you want on pump 2? That's Michael Madsen at that point.
That's him. Do it again. Do it again. I want to hear that.
How much gas you want on pump 2? We love Michael Madsen here. We don't hate. We infiltrate.
No.
Well,
no, that's why I hang on to that thing that, if you just work with me, you're going to be big.
I agree.
All I got to hang on to.
Me and Alex are blowing up after this. BoomBastiCAST will be on Channel 7 next week.
Quentin's going to call us up tomorrow. They're going
to. I support.
Hey, don't laugh. You get a call and he was telling the truth.
We're coming back for you. If we get that call, you're starring in all the films. We're going to bump Alex Hawk out of the starring role, put you right in there.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, we kept you for 4 hours. We'll let you go. I think we're pushing 3.
Yeah, we'll push it 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Time flies.
God, I didn't even realize. That's long.
That's how we do. That's how we do it here at BoomBastiCAST.
And we don't know how many people left the room during it, but that's okay.
Nobody that mattered, we'll say. We Alex stroked out for a little bit, but we got him back. Glitched up, but we have them.
Yeah, and I'll go away now, and I'm gonna go over there and see if Boston lost to Texas. God, why don't you?
We'll hold hope for him. We'll hold hope for
How can you be first? How can you be first for all half the season, and then now you're not even in the playoffs? I don't. Wasting my love for them.
It's the honeymoon period, yeah. The honeymoon period. Another period piece, the honeymoon period.
Yeah.
We're very beautiful now. Everything's nice. All right.
All right.
Jeremy, this was fantastic. We'll talk to you again soon. Have a good night over there. Or day. I think you got some day coming to you. I got a little more day left.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll talk soon.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, gentlemen. Alex?
Right. Thank you, sir. We'll catch up with you soon. Have a good one.
All right. Pleasure.
Right. He's a man who knows what he wants and knows how to get it. He left. He didn't want to leave. We didn't want him to leave, but he left. That's just what time does to people. You know, we had the gentleman for almost 3 hours. We thank him incredibly for that time. That was a great interview. We talked about a lot of good stuff. Jeremy is a good man, a super talent. I'm looking forward to seeing him back in the mix, and I think he definitely will fall back into the mix. You know what I mean? Like I said, I think a lot of the people making films and TV now are the people that grew up at that era where that was their intake of what they were, what influenced them to want to keep it going. You know what I mean? Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You want to say anything in closing over there, Alexander the Hawk, Alexander the Great?
No, nothing. I mean, the thing is, I mean, as I said, it was a lot of fun talking to him. He had a lot of great insight, stories, experiences. And as I said, he was like one of the first character actors that, you know, I'd be watching one series, I'd see him in another. And, you know, I constantly always made notes, and he was always so much, you know, he always was fun, and he was always doing something different, which was great. I mean, and it was awesome to have him on the show.
It was a pleasure for sure. You know what I mean? That's what I like about our show so much, is like that you'll have these actors come on that, you know, you recognize their face, you know what I mean, from certain things, and we get to really dive in and kind of do some get to know situations, some get to know time, some guest time at BoomBastiCAST. You know what I mean? We kill it. Alexander Hawk talks shop. We all talk shop. It's beautiful, though. Fantastic. And another one in the books. You know what I mean? If you all enjoyed this, then hell, go enjoy some more episodes. Whether you're watching or listening, wherever you're doing those things is where you can find more episodes to do those things at. You know what I mean? Get out there, support Jeremy Roberts. You know what I mean? Find him on social medias. You know, go watch his YouTube videos, his movie, to go on his IMDb, give him high ratings. You know what I mean? Very good dude. You know what I mean? We're glad to have him. It was an honor. And if you want to help support the BoomBastiCAST, we got the Boombastic streaming on Patreon. You know, support all of our, social medias. We got Boombastic Media YouTube page. You know what I mean? Those are the spots. So, hell yeah. Thanks for accompanying us on this journey. Alex, you want to say anything else before we bounce out?
No, I've said it all and had a great time.
You're looking extra handsome today. I didn't tell you before, but you look fucking studly. Brad Pitt was going to be on the show, was going to do a guest spot, but he said, Alex Hawk looks so fucking handsome. I can't be on a screen next to him. I'll lose fucking my next 5 movies I got lined up. Lose him to the Hawk. You know what I mean? Big handsy, baby. Big handsy. Handsy. So, with that being said, me and the Hawk will catch all y'all on the next episode.